Yeah.
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 Oh my God, we are here. We
Yeah.
are livid
Yeah.
on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
So let me mute this over here. Hi, everybody! Welcome to Friday Night and Unproduced Live. We are doing the second half of Indiana Jones and the Monkey King. And while I'm saying all of this, just make sure in the chat that everyone can hear me. Give a little thumbs up or something. Audio sounds great. Yeah, here we are on another Friday night to finish this epic up. And let's go through a couple rules and refreshes before, while people shuffle in before we start this epic. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody from last time, except for Brock Powell. Brock Powell is not with us this time due to poor planning on my part, where he had no roles to actually play in this next one. So he would have just sat silently. So I said, Brock, don't worry, sit this one out, and we'll get him for a future one. But we still do have Mr. Ted Evans as Indiana Jones, as you know from Big Head videos and his many impression videos that he has done. Very talented voice actor, and you can hear him in The Incredibles 2, which I forgot he was in, and then I was watching the movie in the theater and went, oh, that joke made me laugh. Oh wait, that joke was said by Ted.
That was me.
That was you. Very cool. Yeah. And then as love interest number 1, Betsy Tuffet, played by Cheryl Lasley, also of Big Head fame and amazingly talented improviser from Chicago originally and now out here in LA. And she is actually doing a web series with the very talented Dee Dee Drake, who will be playing Dr. Claire Clark. And if you stay tuned to the end of the episode, I'll be playing a little trailer and pointing you to their channel. Actually, if you just go to the description, you can go to their channel. Ignore this and just go watch their trailer right now.
No,
oh, no. Okay, that's fine. Don't do that.
You can stay.
Okay, you can stay then. That's very nice. And then we've got, as Scraggy Indy's friend that we've known for all the films, also Driver and Sun Woo Kung. We have Isaac Robinson Smith, absolutely wonderful, just did an amazing job last time, does an amazing job at all the things. He's great.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that he's a part of this. So welcome. And then, of course, we have John Steins as the villains and some other characters as well. So yeah, John is here again to do all of the things. He is another talented voice actor. Also, you're originally from Chicago?
Originally from Ohio, but
That's
did
right.
a decade in Chicago.
That's right. So from Ohio, where Megan Gorman is from, our moderator, the one that you'll be chatting with, and she'll be giving suggestions from the chat room. So please give us your celebrity impressions. Character descriptions are even better. Just weird combinations of things are very challenging for our actors to do. But yes, Megan is from Ohio, I'm from Chicago, and John kind of unites those both, so it's nice that he's here.
Bridge the gap.
Yes, bridge the gap. And so the way that this works is we're going to pick up right where we left off, and we are going to be doing the scenes as normal until at points where I say I would like to change voices. I have a list of voices that the actors are comfortable doing that they provided me, and then we have voices from the audience that they're probably not as comfortable with. And so to actually add something to that is, if they get a suggestion that they don't know, a celebrity or something that they don't know, then they can say Zoran, and they'll ask me to do that impression. I have to do it, even if I don't know what it is. And they will either do an impression and like, oh, I know what that is, or they'll do an impression of me doing that impression. So we'll see how that goes. Who knows? This is all an experiment. It's Friday night. And so then we also still will have the action gauntlets from last time. If you weren't here last time, that's basically big chunks of action scenes. And I've split it up into about a page of description per person. And they're going to be going through that, and with suggestions straight from the audience, they're going to be switching to like 5 different characters throughout that. So I'm just going to put up my finger and go, new voice, get a voice from Megan, and they will continue reading in that voice. It means you probably won't fully understand what's going on in the action scenes at all, but that's why there's a link in the description to download the script. If you really want to follow along and know what the hell's going on, you can read along with us with the script. So you can do that. And what else do we have? We've adjusted we have a little bit of a surprise at the end for the final action scene. We're going to do things a little bit differently than an action gauntlet, as to not exhaust everyone, because there's a lot of action in this second half of the movie. And then the announcement that I also want to make is that I know I originally stated that I was going to do this every Friday night at 6 p.m. until we were released from our houses. And then I started actually putting everything together, and then I got a bunch of editing jobs, and I'm slowly going insane. So I'm going to take next week off, and so we're going to skip next week, and we'll return May 15th. And now the fun thing about this is I've got a couple fun things I'm going to try and do for an action sequence to make it a little more, I'm just going to say, tune in on the 15th. You'll see what I'm planning. But you can all vote on what our next script will be. So if you go to youtube.com/lowcarbcomedy and click on our little community or discussion tab, there's a poll in there, and I will put a link in the description as well. I forgot to do it before. Sorry, I'll do it eventually. And you can vote on what the next movie is going to be. The polls will close on Sunday night at 6 p.m. So you have this weekend to vote on what you want the next one to be. Your choices are a Nightmare 13, Freddy Meets Jason, James Cameron's Spider-Man, or Roger Rabbit 2, Toon Platoon. So go to youtube.com/lowcarbcomedy, go to our little discussion community page, and you can vote there, and I will tally those votes, and that will be the next one, and I will announce that on Monday what our next movie will be. But then again, May 15th is when we will return with a new script that will again be split into two halves. All right? Whew! That's a lot of stuff. I think that is everything that I've needed to mention. And so now, for those of you who were here last week, you probably still have no idea what happened. The actors don't even know what happened last week in some of the stuff. So I've enlisted the incredibly talented Jordan Good, who, man, he has done so many things for Low Carb. He did the Sausage Finger song. He did the Independence Day rap from Big Head parodies. He's also done all the heavy metal covers that you hear in the Big Head parodies. He also did the Ballad of Andrew's Folly, which was in the never-watched Footy Pajamas, which is still one of my favorites. It's an Andrew WK style Scotch montage, which has Cheryl Asley in it, drinking a lot of Scotch. So, Jordan's done so many things, super talented, and so he has created a musical recap of last week. So we're going to play that now. Hope everybody's ready. We're going to play the recap, and then we're going to dive into part 2 of Indiana Jones and the Monkey King. All right, here we go.
When we first see Indiana, he's in Scotland, fishing in a lake. But he walks in a haunted house with a big dog, a black knight, a white knight, a sword fight. His day job at the school, Marcus says there's an immortal Monkey King, so he flies to Mozambique with a pygmy, a peach pit, a suicidal stowaway. There's a cockroach robot spy, 'cause the Nazis want to find the monkey first, but that's only half the plot. There's still pirates and rhinos and Nazis and voices galore. Do Schwarzenegger.
And there you have it. Hopefully that song is now stuck in your head. And as you heard at the end there, people, he did request that we do Schwarzenegger. So at some point, there will be a Schwarzenegger scene. I know you're so excited about that. All right, so everyone go ahead and unmute, and we will begin this. Oh, and again, in the description, if you like Jordan stuff, he just started an Instagram, Jordan Good Music, or you can go to jordangoodmusic.com as well and look at his stuff there. So there you go. I plugged Jordan because he gave me free stuff because he's awesome. I love it. All right, here we go. Indiana Jones and the Monkey King, Part 2. That's not my script. Here we go. For those following along, also, I did trim down some of the description. I didn't mention that. I'm just letting you know. I will be jumping around a little bit to streamline things, but it will still all make sense, kind of. Suddenly, Scraggy swings from a rope. Above. There was basically pirates before. There's a pirate attack. That's what's happening. Scraggy crashes into them. They tumble to the deck. Scraggy tosses a spare sword to Indiana. Scraggy and Indy begin to sword fight the pirates. Claire turns, dashing around the corner to safety. A sudden stop. Her face is buried in the hairy, bare chest of Kazur, an enormous, bear-like pirate king. His stringy hair is long, tied in a ponytail. Behind his head, a thick, long mustache wraps around a large mouth, filled with crooked golden teeth. Claire shrieks. Kazur grabs her around the waist. He tosses Claire over his shoulder. Indiana and Scraggy continue to battle the onslaught of sword-slinging pirates. Suddenly, Indy is interrupted by Claire's loud scream. He turns. A pirate ship has appeared. Countless pirates are aboard the ship. Duh. From the pirate ship, the pirates toss a grapple rope to Kazur. Kazur swings from the riverboat to the pirate ship. Indiana runs through the fighting crew members and pirates in an effort to save Claire. Suddenly, the riverboat is hit by a cannonball. Indy keeps his balance. Sword in hand, he dives into the water. Indy swims towards the pirate ship. Exterior, riverboat, top deck. Scraggy exchanged swordplay with a pirate. The sword is knocked from Scraggy's hand. He is defenseless. The pirate comes in for a kill. He raises his sword, ready to plunge it into Scraggy's heart. The pirate suddenly pauses, a horrified look on his face. The end of the sword shoots out of the pirate's chest. The pirate falls to the deck. Betsy stands behind him. She holds the bloody sword. Scraggy gives her a thankful nod. Indiana, on the pirate ship, has climbed up the side. And then a bunch of stuff happens that's useless. And then Claire. He sees that Claire has been tied to a mast pole. Kazur stands in front of her. As his men battle around her, Kazur leans forward. The drooling pirate king sloppily kisses Claire. Oh my god. Upon seeing the pirate king's attack, Indiana shouts.
Hey! You son of a bitch!
Great. Glad you're on the ball. All right, here we go. Kazur turns. He emits a gravelly laugh. Let's hear a laugh, Kazur. Which is John. Yeah, let's hear that laugh. Goddamn Pee Wee Herman, sure. All right, he emits a gravelly laugh and scratches his neck, curiously studying Indy. Indy extends his sword. The pirate king removes a sharp, long, golden sword. They begin to fight. Exterior, riverboat, top deck. A pirate has taken over the boat's wheel. He steers the riverboat off the regular path. He speeds towards the base of a large, thrashing waterfall. Oh my goodness, Scraggy and Betsy see the waterfall ahead. Panic fills their eyes. They dash to the steering wheel. Betsy distracts the pirate. Scraggy takes the steering wheel. He attempts to steer the ship away from the waterfall. Exterior, pirate ship, top deck. Indiana and the pirate king battle, swords clashing as the two men fight. Indiana notices that the pirate ship is headed for the waterfall. He sees Scraggy trying to steer the riverboat in the opposite direction. Indy screams above the cannon fire.
Scraggy, no! Keep going straight! Full steam ahead!
Scraggy is confused by Indy's order. He screams back to Indiana.
What? You crazy, Indy? We be crushed! We smash into a rock wall!
Indiana, still sword fighting the pirate king, screams to Scraggy.
No! Trust me! Full steam ahead! Full steam ahead!
Scraggy blesses himself. His face is strong, confident. He revs the engine full speed. He tightly clutches the wheel, aiming the riverboat towards the waterfall. Indy and Kazur swing from sail to sail, continuing their spectacular sword fight. Claire helplessly watches from the deck. The riverboat and the pirate ship continue to move side by side, moving closer, closer to the shattering waterfall. The riverboat and the pirate ship penetrate the waterfall. That's a choice of words. Thanks, Chris Columbus. Indiana and the pirate king hold tightly to the sails to avoid being thrown into the waters below. Exterior, riverboat. The aged boat tosses, tilts, spins, nearly capsizing. Boards creak and moan, ready to burst. The powerful water sends Betsy somersaulting along the deck. She tries to grab hold of something, anything that will prevent her from falling off the boat. Betsy finally clutches onto something. The arm of a dead pirate. He's dead. He didn't say anything. Interior, behind the waterfall, the pirates' hidden fortress, an enormous underground cavern. Hundreds of burning torches cast a devilish glow. There are several other pirates here, armed, waiting for the return of the pirate ship. The riverboat and the pirate ship enter the cave. The riverboat comes to a rough stop. Stop. Yeah, that's what I said. Screeching along a far wall, the pirate ship sails to a smooth stop. In the middle of the cavern, armed with guns, knives, and swords, the pirates hurriedly surround the intruding riverboat. They take Betsy, Scraggy, and the crew members captive. Kazur leaps to the pirate ship's deck and quickly unties Claire. Indiana attempts to follow. He pauses, quickly grabbing a few sticks of dynamite from the pirate ship deck. Kazur begins to lead Claire off the ship, his sword at her throat. Indiana calls out. Kazur stops. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't. I didn't wait for you, so good work. Kazur stops. He turns. Indy walks towards Kazur, stopping less than 10 feet from the Pirate King and Claire. Indy's eyes burn through Kazur. And Indiana, you now sound like Philip Seymour Hoffman. And Kazur, you're just going to be whatever pirate voice you want to do for Kazur.
Free the girl and my friends. I blew your hideout here out of the water.
Oh, Kazur laughs. There it is. Kazur laughs. Indiana lights the dynamite fuses. Kazur stops laughing, worried for a moment. Then the Pirate King breaks into a wide, defiant smile.
Good. We will all die.
Oh, John, you delightful man. A standoff. Indy didn't expect this. He is suddenly frightened, puzzled. Betsy, Scraggy, and Claire stare at Indy, waiting for his next move. As the dynamite fuse slowly burns, getting closer, closer to the TNT, Kazur seems calm, perfectly willing to die. Indy gets another idea. He blurts it out to Kazur.
We can take you to the lost city of Sun Wukong.
Better men than you have tried to find the lost city. They have all failed. You are a fool.
No, you're the fool. You and your friends are hiding out in Sun Wukong's water curtain cave, and you don't even know it.
Huh?
And Bobcat Goldthwait as Kazur the Pirate King. I love it. Scraggy and Betsy exchange a shocked glance. The TNT fuse nears the end, ready to blow any second. Indiana removes the ancient scroll from his pocket. He extends the scroll to Kazir.
The sacred Paicho scroll.
Kazur grabs the scroll, attempting to read it. Indy interrupts.
Don't bother. Only we can translate it.
Kazur examines the scroll. Puzzled by the writing, Indiana and Scraggy exchange a hopeful glance, even though it's spelled glampy. Kazur pauses, thinking. He mumbles to himself.
The lost city said to have streets better than gold, treasures far greater than any mortal man could imagine.
Kazur pushes Claire away toward Indiana. Claire embraces Indy as he blows out the dynamite fuse. Kazur growls at Indy.
Your pathetic lives will be spared for now, but everything we find in the lost city belongs to me.
Fat chance, Sinbad. It's 50-50, or you've got no deal.
It is my way, or you've got no head.
All right, and now the interior water curtain cave that night. A group of pirates sit together, drunk. They sing one of their ancient songs. And Isaac, I'd like you to sing a little pirate shanty, just a quick little pirate shanty. You're drunk and you're singing a pirate shanty. And there you go. And you're about the topic of a lost love and a cabbage.
Well, me lost love was a cabbage because we needed our roughage. I ate some donuts and I ate some crepes and I ate some bananas and I had some cakes, but I needed to get my roughage. And so I got my cabbage and everything was clear again. Hey!
Yay! Bravo. Well done. I love throwing things at you, man. Good work. Cool. All right, so now we've got a new scene here. Kazur and several other pirates. Indy is wearing his spectacles, translating the scrolls with Scraggy. Indy is puzzled, troubled. He looks at Scraggy. So new voices here. Indiana, you are now Mrs. Doubtfire. And Scraggy, you are. Oh yeah, we'll just go with Jack Sparrow.
Ooh, read that last proverb again.
Well, you know, mate, high tide drowns curiosity, low tide quenches thirst.
There's something here, something that could help us.
Meanwhile, Betsy and Claire work in another section of the cave. Claire is doing some archaeological work, studying the various artifacts and utensils. Betsy assists her. They are surrounded by leering, hungry-eyed pirates. The drunken pirates don't take their eyes off of the girls. Betsy notices. She points it out to Claire. You guys are your normal voices. Start it off normal.
Look at them. It's like they've never seen a woman before.
To them, we're the ultimate woman.
I mean, it's kind of flattering, isn't it? Being the girl of 200 guys' dreams.
Claire and Betsy exchange a chuckle. Sure. That is a fair exchange. Meanwhile, Indiana, Scraggy, and Kazur walk through the cavern. Indy is looking around. Curious, he turns to Kazur.
Dear, is there an area, a place where the tide changes?
Kazur leads Indiana and Scraggy into a dark corner of the cavern. A large, smooth wall stretches to the ceiling. The wall is filled with intricate cracks. At the base of the wall, water slowly pours into the cavern. Kazur points to the water. And Kazur, you are now... Harvey Firestein, because he was in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Sure. In a few hours, the water will be lower, much lower.
And the remainder of this wall will be visible.
Kazur nods. Indiana's eyes light up, a realization. He excitedly turns to Kazur.
We're gonna need light. A lot of light on this wall.
Kazur nods. Indiana exchanges an anxious, hopeful glance with Scraggy. Close-up of a snoring pirate. Camera pulls back. All the pirates are asleep. Their slumbering bodies lie in various positions throughout the cave. Indiana and Kazur are still awake. The flickering orange light of the torches illuminates the wall in front of them. They await the lowering tide. Scraggy, Betsy, and Claire sleep on the ground beside them. Kazur pours 2 glasses of whiskey from stone bottles. He gives a glass to Indiana, and they toast. And for this one, I'm going to go to Megan. Let's have one for Indiana and Kazur.
Indiana is Jeff Goldblum waking up during his colonoscopy, and Kazor is a British fop with allergies.
To my good fortune.
Kazur gobbles down the whiskey. Indiana reluctantly drinks. Kazur pours 2 more glasses, laughing.
You know, we are very much alike, Dr. Jones.
Ow. I doubt that.
We both share a remarkable talent for killing.
Wow. I've never gotten used to killing, pal. I do it for survival.
Indiana downs his whiskey. A laughing Kazur does the same. Indiana notices something on the wall. What were once simple cracks have become the specific lines of a map. A group of arrows lead to an X at the bottom corner of the map. A fascinated Kazur and Indy study the wall.
Ooh. This is incredible. This map was, obviously used by Sun Wukong's disciples if they were ever, lost.
The drawings, they are the surrounding jungle.
Ooh, where is that?
It is located at the most southeastern part of the jungle, pardon me, near the mountains. There's a village there, the Monguboo tribe.
You know them?
Yes, very well. I traded with the chieftain for many years.
Aha, good. We'll leave in the morning.
Oh, good work, Ted and John. Camera pans from Indiana and Kazur to a dark cave. Standing inside is the figure of a mysterious crew member. Again, he radios back to the Nazis. It's that German from before that no one remembered. Exterior, jungle plains. The following afternoon, Scraggy's decrepit Model T taxi putters along the flat jungle terrain. Scraggy drives. Indiana, Claire, and Betsy are crowded in the front seat. Kazur and 4 pirates ride on the rear compartment. Everyone is uncomfortable, cramped, sweating. 2 of Scraggy's crew members straddle the sideboard. 3 men sit on the roof, including a guitar player who plays a delightful melody. The taxi passes a herd of giraffe. The beautiful animals stare in bewilderment at the passing taxi. Suddenly, there's a distant sound. The same low rumbling we heard earlier. The giraffes scatter, afraid of the unnatural sound. Interior taxi. The bizarre sound echoes through the taxi. Indy exchanges a puzzled look for the others. And so Indiana, Scraggy, and Kazur. Let's go with Indiana. You are Doc Brown. You're Doc Brown. And Scraggy, you are a man who has just stubbed his toe. And Kazur, you are just uncontrollably crying. And here you go.
Hot sound again.
Still for wait, getting closer.
The sound stops. Indiana is bothered, disturbed. Kazur leans forward. He points to a clustered area of jungle near a mile in the distance.
The village is there. Oh God, beyond the thick of the jungle.
Scraggy nods. He drives towards the village. Suddenly, an arrow shoots through the window, just missing everyone. It shatters the passenger window. A tribe of native warriors appear in the terrain. There are hundreds of screaming in high-pitched squeals. The angry warriors run towards them. They're firing arrows. The taxi is attacked in the shower of arrows. So many arrows are happening. There's arrows. Did anyone get that there's arrows? Because
There's
Scraggy
arrows.
floors the gas. The taxi keeps moving ahead of the arrows, speeding through the jungle as fast as an arrow. Indiana glares at Kazur.
Thought you said they knew you.
Kazur gives a puzzled shrug. The warriors continue to chase the taxi. The taxi spins to a stop, directly in front of a large opening that leads into the jungle. Everyone pours out of the taxi. They dash through the opening. Into the jungle, the warriors stop. Outside the opening, they don't enter. Turning to each other, they begin to laugh victorious. Everybody laugh. And the winner of that laughter is Megan. Her silent laughter was perfect. Interior jungle. An almost perfect path has been cleared through the thick jungle. Indiana and the others run through the path. Indy suddenly pauses, motioning for the others to stop. A puzzled look covers his face.
Wait, listen. They're not following us.
One of the pirates continues to move forward. His foot trips a thin string and stretches across the path. Whoosh! A booby-trapped palm tree swings forward. It slams into the pirate and sends him flying upward. His body is thrown several feet into the jungle. Indiana exchanges a cautious look for the others, and I want you for this one line to be Elmer Fudd.
Be very careful where you step. You've got to move slowly. Very slowly.
Oh, I love it. Indiana leads everyone. They creep through the path. Indy pauses. Another booby trap. Indy crawls beneath the vine. One by one, they carefully crawl beneath the vine. The rest of the crew. The guitar player is last. He nearly makes it. Then the top of his guitar hits the vine. Soon the path erupts with countless rows of traps. They eject from the ground, snapping shut like big metal alligators, one after the other. Everyone begins to run. The traps keep snapping shut behind them. Everyone rounds a corner and they come upon an enormous pit, over 10 feet deep, filled with countless layers of scorpions. There is nowhere to turn, nowhere to run, and no way they have that in the budget. Indiana removes his sword. He slices at a bamboo tree. After a few thwacks, it falls, stretching across the pool, only a few feet above the stinging scorpions. Indiana begins to climb across. Everyone hurriedly follows. Their feet dangle only inches from the scorpions. At the last, As the last pirate makes his way across the pit, he drops a small bag of gold coins. The coins rest a few feet away, directly on top of the scorpions, and the pirate pauses, deciding whether to climb to safety or retrieve the coins. Everyone else has made it across. The greedy pirate, well, he wants his money. Oh, pirates. He reaches for the coins. His fingers are inches from them, but he loses his grip. He falls into the pit, surrounded by hundreds of scorpions. He struggles to get out, climbing, swimming, but he only manages to sink. The pirate's screams die as his body is engulfed by the stinging scorpions. Indiana and the others continue ahead, moving slowly, carefully, not giving a rat's ass about the man who just died one of the worst deaths that anyone could ever die of. But they're like, fuck, it happens all the time. I'm so sick of it. So they keep going, moving slowly. Someone steps on a wooden trigger, and behind everyone, a large bamboo door ejects from the ground. It leads to an underground cage. The door creaks open. 3 ferocious lions leap out, teeth bared, growling like the producer who was trying to fund this movie. As 3 lions leap from the ground. No CGI in 1985. Those would be real lions. Everyone dashes forward, running. The lions are in hot pursuit. The humans don't stand a chance. Suddenly, Claire stops. She turns, facing the charging lions. Indiana looks back, screaming.
Claire, where are you?
The lion stops. Inches from Claire, they surround her, ready to attack. Indiana watches, puzzled. Claire begins to make bizarre purring and cooing sounds. The lions pause. They recognize the sounds. Claire continues. The lions begin to warm up to her. Claire kneels. She pets the beasts. The lions snuggle up to Claire, licking her face. Indiana and the others come closer, puzzled. Claire explains.
I imitated the sound of a lion mother calling her babies.
Betsy is impressed. Indiana smiles, relieved.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Indiana turns, face to face with a grotesque shrunken head. He steps back. The shrunken head is worn around the neck of a tall, muscular tribal chief, leader of the warriors. Countless natives stand behind the chief. A look of anger, hate, covers the chief's face. Indiana gives a hopeful glance to Kazur.
Is this the tribal chief you told me about? Your friend?
Oh, the mighty pirate king. Indiana rolls his eyes. The warriors surround everyone, arrows aimed, ready to kill. The warriors lead everyone out on the path. Exterior, Mongubu village. Several grass huts are scattered through the large village. Indiana and the others are led into the village. They pass the penetrating, unfriendly glares of the villagers. Kazur explains to Indiana, and for this scene, it's going to be Kazur and Indiana. And 1 second, sorry. All right, Scraggy, Kazur, and Indiana, and we're gonna have some voices from the audience. Let's go for the audience there. I always freak Megan out by not warning her
I
about
have
these
to
things.
unmute because I don't want my clacking
Yeah.
on the keys.
So I need Indiana, Kazur, and Scraggy.
Okay. One of them, I'll let you pick who, is a lead singer who can't remember what city they're performing in.
That's Scraggy.
The other one is a Ninja Turtle vomiting pizza.
Okay, that's Kazur. And I need one for Indiana Jones.
A cyborg with a Charlie horse.
A cyborg with a Charlie horse. All right, here you go. Yep.
This is a different tribe. New, they have taken over the village, bro.
Oh, what happened to the other tribe? Oh.
Kazur shrugs. Indy turns to Scraggy.
You recognize their language.
So at this point, there's a scene missing. There's a page that's entirely missing. And we have to get from them just hanging out in the village to suddenly being in a hut that's on fire. So I'm going to have, we're just going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to have Scraggy and Indy improvise a scene of just a quick scene, how they get from walking into a village to being trapped in a hut that's on fire.
Indy, what do we do?
We should probably keep walking through this village. Oh shit, that one's on fire. Let's go to it. Scene.
All right, Ted, the man that always wants me to go to improv shows, said, I don't do improv for you. Amazing. Well, they went into the hut that's on fire. Suddenly, a voice echoes from inside. The natives listen. Again, the voice shouts from inside. It's Scraggy. The natives recognize the language. They quickly open the door, and Scraggy is screaming in the tribe's native tongue. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Scraggy shoots to his feet. Furious, he begins to shout at the tribal chief. The chief and the villagers are awestruck by Scraggy's words. The nervous chief orders Claire, Betsy, and the others untied. Scraggy whispers to Indiana, and remember, you are the singer that doesn't know what town he's in.
Right.
The lead singer.
I tell him we divine messengers of... Who is this? What is it? What was... Oh! Sun Wukong! Right. If he interfere with our mission, Jade Emperor come down from heavens and destroy his... Insert village name here. Yeah!
Indy smiles. Scraggy turns and again shouts to the chief. The chief obeys Scraggy's every word. He leads Indy and Scraggy to another area of the village. Scraggy translates for Indy.
I tell him we lose part to... Phoenix? I ask if we have something to help us.
The chief leads Indy and Scraggy into a large grass hut. Interior grass hut, empty, save for an elaborate marble altar. A dull mirror rests by the altar. The small mirror is surrounded by a crude stone frame. The chief picks up the mirror and gives it to Scraggy. The chief explains. Scraggy gives the mirror to Indy. Translating.
He say this will help us. And since we are divine messengers of... I don't know anymore, man. We will know how to use it.
Indiana smirks. He examines the mirror, totally confused by it. Exterior, Mangubu Village, dawn. The village sleeps, quiet, peaceful. Scraggy's Model T is parked here. Several of the crew members and pirates are sleeping. Suddenly, a slight tremor surges through the village. A soft vibration. Cooking utensils rattle. Grass huts shake. Indiana sleeps here in a hammock. The vibration wakes Indy. As he moves to climb out of the hammock, a figure leaps on top of him. And for this, you guys are... Ted, you are Shaggy, and you are Daphne from Scooby-Doo. And Betsy, you're Daphne.
I'm Daphne?
Yeah, you're Daphne. Daphne and Shaggy in this scene.
Zoran.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh, you want me to
Zoran.
do Daphne?
Yep.
Woo!
Oh, Indy, I'm frightened.
Zoinks! I'm claustrophobic, Scoob.
Indiana attempts to push Betsy out of the hammock. She resists. They begin to wrestle, struggle. The hammock becomes tangled around their bodies. Ooh. Claire walks by the hut. She looks inside. To her, it appears that Indy and Betsy are in the middle of a passionate love scene. Let's hear a little bit of that love scene between the two of you.
Zoinks!
Great. She emits a shocked gasp. Indy sees Claire and he calls out.
Claire, wait!
But the startled Claire hurries away. Indy manages to escape Betsy in the tangled hammock. He lands on the floor, breathless. The vibrating intensifies. The ground begins to rumble. The surrounding trees shake. The villagers pour out of their huts, gathered in the middle of town, frightened. Indiana and Betsy join Scraggy, Claire, Kazur, and the others. Betsy is puzzled by the tremors.
An earthquake?
The tribal chief steps forward. He says one word in his language. Scraggy translates for the others.
Wildebeest!
A herd of stampeding wildebeest. Hundreds of the raging animals plow through the jungle. Moving fast, they crush everything in their path. The vibrating is louder and harder. The villagers panic. They run away, scattered into the jungle. Simba is lost and Mufasa dies. Indiana and his party are clustered together. Claire exclaims, and for this, Claire, you're an old lady. You're all old. You're all just you're all 100 years old. You're all just old.
We have to get out or we'll be crushed to death.
Scraggy! How close?
Scraggy puts his ear to the trembling ground. He listens.
2 miles.
Indy dashes to the Model T supply rack. He tosses the shovel to each of the group. He looks around.
Where's the softest girl?
Scraggy asks a passing villager. The villager shouts some gibberish. John, shout that gibberish to me. Villager talk. Perfect. Great. And they continue running. Scraggy points off screen towards a communal graveyard. Cut to the wildebeest, snorting, stomping, carving a wide path through the thick jungle. Small animals run for their lives. Bunnies dash ahead of the herd. Monkeys swing to the other trees. Shia LaBeouf follows them. The angry wildebeest continues ahead. Exterior, village, Indiana and the others stand in the large graveyard, shovels in hand. They have dug a large hole in that amount of time. Good luck. Pieces of decayed bodies and skeletons protrude from the surrounding hole. Scraggy stares at the ghastly sight, eyes wide, fearful. He begins to babble hysterically.
Oh no! Many dead spirits! Bad spirits! We must stay away!
Indy interrupts by pushing Scraggy into the open grave. Scraggy falls into the arms of a skeleton. He screams, "For an action gauntlet!" Oh, it's time. Unmute yourself, Megan. As always,
Yes.
I will begin the action gauntlet. So give me a voice to start.
You are Christopher Walken with a brain freeze.
All right, here we go. Ow! 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 The herd of wildebeest bursting through the section of jungle. They arrive at the vast jungle plain. Directly ahead of them, several feet in the distance, is the Mangubu village. The wildebeest, they head straight for the village. Exterior village, deserted, no sign of human life. Everything trembles with the force of a major head. Ow! Oh God! Oh, the Slurpee. Not a good idea, but the wildebeest have arrived, destroying the village, crumbling to pieces. Scraggy's Model T is overturned.
Good thing Adam West is now imbuing your body.
God. Oh, God. Ted, do your Adam West quickly.
Oh,
Okay.
taffy.
Oh, yes,
I
there it
love
is. I love
taffy.
taffy. Yes, Robin. With nothing left standing, this is just going to become Goldblum at one point. The wildebeest move on. The village has been completely devastated, surrounded with a heavy cloud of dust. Camera pans to a graveyard. Grave markers and tombstones lie broken and crushed. Countless hoof prints over the flat ground. A hand shoots out of the grave nearby. Indy climbs out of the grave. He is followed by the others. He also climbs out from underground. Everyone is unhurt, safe, protected by the ground above. A skeleton has attached itself to Betsy, refusing to let go.
Right, you are now the doctor, and that could be canine or human.
Well, my dog, I think, has a little tiny German voice, so we'll go with this. Scraggy, Indy and a few of the men run to the overturned Model T taxi. They grab hold of the car and turn it to be back upright. Claire looks at the devastated village. Betsy stands beside her. Oh, woof woof bark, struggling to escape from the clutches of the skeleton. Claire looks into the distance. Oh, is it food? No, it's the departing wildebeest. She is troubled and worried.
That's odd. Wildebeest will not stampede unless provoked.
Oh, yes, and also sand people only travel single file to hide their numbers. Anyway, suddenly the same low rumbling noise from earlier echoes through the area, but this time it is loud, nearly deafening. Scraggy looks at the Indy. At that moment... Oh, there's a line. Sorry.
This time it is very close, Cindy. Very close.
At that moment, directly behind Scraggy and Indy, the jungle erupts. The trees separate. Sorry, crashing to the ground, making way for a giant behemoth. Scraggy and the others leap in one direction, Indiana in the other. Next action gauntlet begins, and we'll be going for Mr. John Steins to do this next action gauntlet. Starting with a giant take, let's get a voice for him.
Richard Nixon.
A giant tank shoots out of the jungle, a metal monstrosity, one of a kind. The tank is over 10 times the size of a normal tank, nearly 100 feet long, over 25 feet high. It is equipped with 3 levels. On the top level is the tank's swirling barrel, enormous, the size of a cannon. The 2 giant blazing red swastikas adorn both sides of the tank's second level. The tank runs over Scraggy's Model T. The car is flattened. A thick cloud of dust erupts from the ground.
New voice.
You are now Vampire Shirley Temple.
Very similar. It's very similar.
Interior tank. Gutenberg. He views the outside action through a periscope. 2 Nazi gunners are behind him, waiting for orders to shoot. Tiki sits in the background. The confused pygmy is bound and gagged. Outside, Scraggy, Claire, Betsy, and the gang and the others dash across the plains, running away from the pursuing tank. But the Indiana is not with them. Scraggy, unable to see the dust, calls out,
Indy! Indy!
New voice.
Thank you.
Venom. I want to hear your Venom.
Indiana several feet away, on the ground alone, lost in the thick of dust. Suddenly, a dark figure appears. We see him towering over Indiana. The dust begins to clear, revealing a protruding white horn. More dust clears. We see that the figure is a large black rhinoceros. We see that Indiana leaps to his feet. The rhino snorts. Indy turns to run. The rhino chases him.
And one last voice to finish off.
Goofy.
Meanwhile, with most of the dust cleared, the tank chases Indy's friends across the jungle plains. Interior tank. Gutenberg looks into the periscope. Indy's friends are in his sights. Gutenberg screams to the gunners.
It's still me.
Oh yeah, Gutenberg. You're Gutenberg. And you. Yeah, perfect. Great. We'll end there. You were confused. That's great. Next action gauntlet. Here we go. This one is going towards the person who's not making eye contact with me, but you all are, so then we're going to go with Dee Dee.
All right, Dee Dee, you are planet Uranus, sad about its mispronounced name and lack of appreciation of its rings.
I love your chat room.
The tank's large barrel fires a shot at the running group, and the blast flies over their heads, just missing everyone again. Blasts a row of palm trees to smithereens. Indiana's still running from the rampaging rhino, and Indy begins to run in a circle, and the angry rhino follows him. It's just Uranus. It's just Uranus. At that exact moment, Indy grabs hold of the rhino. He leaps onto the beast, and with a bit of careful maneuvering, Indiana is riding the rhinoceros. Keep going.
No, you're good. Sorry, I was just enjoying that. New
I'm
voice.
enjoying Ted.
Anyway, yeah, new voice.
Pretty good show.
Lisa Kudrow, Phoebe Buffet.
Scraggy, Betsy, Claire, Kazur, and the others continue to run. And the tank is right behind them, moving fast, okay, in hot pursuit. And the tank fires another shot. It splatters the ground beside the group. Again, just missing everyone. The group turns, running in another direction. The tank follows. Indiana continues to ride the wild, bucking rhino. He has no control over the beast, and the rhino spots something, the tank, from this angle. The tank, with its large protruding gun barrel, okay, resembles a giant rhinoceros. And seeing this, the rhino turns and runs towards the tank. Indy holds tightly.
You're now a professional wrestler.
Scraggy and the others pause. They see the tank behind them. They see the rhino ahead of them. The group makes a quick turn to the right. They run towards a ravine. The tank is headed straight for Indy and the rhino, both moving at full speed.
Keep going. This is great.
Interior tank through the periscope. Gutenberg sees Indy and the rhino. He vows to crush them. Indiana continues to ride the uncontrollable rhino. They are within 30 feet of the oncoming tank. Interior tank. Gutenberg screams in German, ordering the Nazi gunner to fire.
And one last voice to finish it off.
I gotta go back to my thing. It ran away. Where'd it go? Stay with me. You're a woman who demands to see the manager after only getting 99 cents off for a $1 coupon.
Exterior planes, the tank fires. The blast is low. The ground in front of Indy and the rhino explodes. And I'm sorry, but a cloud of dust erupts. I paid good money to read this, and I'm going to continue reading. Interior tank. Gutenberg looks through the periscope. His view is blocked by dust. Okay, exterior planes. I come here all the time, and I have never read it like this before. The tank is upon Indy and the rhino, and the rhino screeches to a stop, frightened by the blast. I mean, is your manager here? Indiana leaps onto the tank, gripping the front section, holding on for dear life. I went to college.
All right, that's good. I think we end on I went to college. That was fantastic. All right. Another action gauntlet begins. This is it. This is a huge one, people. All right, let's go over to Indy. Ted Evans, your action gauntlet. Give him a starting point. We're going to have you start actually on page 79 with Scraggy, Betsy, and Claire.
Okay.
Dick Van Dyke tripping over an ottoman.
Zoran.
Laura!
Wait, what? Dick Van Dyke, what does he sound like?
Tripping over an ottoman.
Well, Scraggy, Betsy, Claire, and Kazura and the others have arrived at the foot of the tall several branch tree. Whoa! Look. Anything else? Come on.
You got one more sentence to do in this. One more sentence.
Located at the side of the ravine, over the ravine's edge, a several hundred-foot drop into the jagged rock. Scraggy begins to climb the tree. Wow!
And Scraggy, you're just back to your normal voice.
All right.
Safest place from bad spirits is in branches of trees.
New voice for Ted.
Someone deathly afraid of farting cats, and he's in a room of cats.
The others shrug. You have no choice but to follow Scraggy up into the branches of the tree. And he climbs along the side of this monstrous tank. He searches for a passageway inside the tank. Don't! Interior tank. Nazis are unaware of Indy's presence. Oh my god, in the tank! Butthole! Gutterberg continues to look through the periscope. So close to me, the dust begins to clear. He focuses his sights on Indy's friends. Oh, get it away! Located several feet away, they climb into the tree. Gutterberg smiles. I hate cats.
All right, new voice for Ted.
Bobcat Goldwave.
Interior tank, and he can't find a passageway into the tank. He sees the gun barrel. Already, he swivels, aiming towards the tree. And his friends. And he grabs one of the tank's large headlights and pulls hard, snapping out the headlight. And he leaps upward. He quickly stuffs the headlight inside of the barrel opening.
All right, new voice, because I don't know how anyone ever understood a Bobcat Goldthwait movie.
Wasn't a good.
Bear with me. Word for word.
Yeah,
Amorous peg-legged haberdasher, but basically an amorous peg-legged men's clothes salesman.
Amorous, meaning
Peg-legged, meaning like
He has
real
one leg
cute.
and he's really attracted to someone, I guess.
The tree of Indy's friends are in Gutenberg's sights. The perfect shot. Gutenberg screams in German, ordering the Nazi gunners to shoot. They fire, but the barrel backfires, exploding in the face of the two Nazi gunners. Sends them flying against the wall. Out cold. The cabin fills with smoke. Only Gutenberg and Tiki remain. A furious Gutenberg picks up the radio. He screams
into the microphone.
Gutenberg.
Send help. Oh God, we need assistance.
All right, new voice for Ted to finish it up.
Snack vendor at a ballpark.
Hey, Tiki, helplessly watches in the background. Gutenberg looks in the periscope. Hey, he sees Indiana on the tank. Gutenberg hits a red button. No? All right. On the control panel.
All right, cool. That is that action gauntlet. Now, next one. It's still going, people. We're almost there, but here we go. All right, and now we're going over to Isaac.
All right. So am I saying my Scraggy lines too?
Oh, is this Scraggy saying things in there? I think you got like one line in this one, right?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, you can do it. I believe you can. You can switch voices. All right. So first voice for Scraggy.
Let's start with some Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, exit tank. Countless rows of machine guns eject from secret slots all around the tank's first level. The machine gun begins to fire rapidly, wildly. Indiana ducks and dodges the guns. He climbs to the second level. When the large swastikas begin to move, opening, they're actually hidden doors, secret compartments. Several Nazi soldiers exit the compartments. They come for Indiana. He fights the onslaught of soldiers, punching, wrestling. The tank, without a driver, begins to wildly spin, going into circles. From the tree, Scraggy sees Indy's dilemma. He shouts to the others, "Indy in trouble! We must help!"
New voice?
You are an announcer calling the Kentucky Derby whose wife just left him for the jockey who's winning.
Scraggy begins to climb out. Oh, what's the point, Sam? Climb out of the tree. A gun suddenly moves into frame, pointed at Scraggy's head. Of course it is. Scraggy turns. One of his crew members holds the gun.
And crew member is Daffy Duck.
Don't move, all of you. Stay where you are.
Big.
Scraggy and the others freeze. Claire. Her name is Claire. Do you know that? Makes a realization. She glares at the crew member. Oh.
Regular voice?
Oh, you're a Russian assassin for this one line.
It was you. You're it was you. You're the reason the Nazis found us.
Very good.
That's Claire, all right.
That's Claire, all right.
Gives an evil smile.
All right, and new voice.
Tiki Room Birds.
Oh, my siestas are getting shorter and shorter, but Indiana continues to fight the Nazis along the second level of the frenzied tank. Indy has defeated most of the soldiers. Hey, Michael, what do you think? Only 2 Nazis remain. They overcome Indy. They push him downward toward the tank's first level, toward the rows of firing machine guns. Indiana struggles to break free, but the powerful Nazis push him closer to the machine guns. Fritz, do you have anything to say about that? Mon ami, in the tree, the crew members keep his pistol aimed at Scraggy's head. Camera pans upward. Kesher is perched on the top branch, above Scraggy. At the right moment, Kesher leaps down, on top of the treacherous crew member. Kesher knocks off the gun from the crew's member's hand. Blam! Fritz, what happens next? To leave us, the gun goes off. A stray bullet strikes the tree trunk. Kesher punches the crew member who loses his balance and falls from the tree. Going over the edge of the ravine, his body drops hundreds of feet, crashing on the rocks below.
All right. Is that all the Tiki birds?
That's all 4 of them. Yeah.
Great work. All right. And then to finish it off, one more voice.
Let's do some Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds.
Hey, man, look. This is the script that we're reading, but we're breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Kesher smiles, victorious. But the tree suddenly creaks, groans. A crack has formed around the trunk where the bullet struck. The tree begins to tilt, slowly teetering over the ravine's edge. Everyone panics. Betsy shouts.
Betsy, you are drowning.
Everyone freezes, scared to death. They tightly grip their branches. The tree sways slowly. Indiana still fights the 2 Nazis, struggling to keep his body from the tank's deadly machine guns. Indy flips one of the Nazis over his head. The Nazi falls directly in front of an entire row of machine guns.
His body does a grotesque dance of death, riddled with bullets.
And that is your action gauntlet. Good work, everybody, on that one. But there's still more. 2 more action gauntlets to go here, people. And who hasn't done one yet? Oh, there she is. Cheryl Lasley. It is your time to gauntlet this up.
This one?
Yep.
Yes. Miss Shara, start us off with some Steve Martin. Wild and crazy guys.
Wild and crazy. Where am I starting?
You're starting
Indiana
top of
still
page
fights.
81. There you go.
Indiana still fights the 2 Nazis, struggling to keep his body from the tank deadly machines. If he flips one of the Nazis over his head, the Nazi falls directly in front of the entire row of machine guns. His body does grotesque dance of death, riddled with bullets. Indiana and the other Nazi exchange punches. Their bodies tumble over the rear of the tank. They fall into a small ledge above the enormous rotating tank treads. Indy and the Nazi battle to push each other off the ledge. Indy prevails. He pushes the Nazi on top of the treads. The Nazi tries to climb back, but his body is dragged beneath the tank crush.
There you go. New voice.
A wood elf with way too many layers of clothing on and who is afraid to be spotted.
A widow?
A wood elf.
Oh, a wood elf.
Indiana turns. See Gutenberg climb out of the secret hatch on the tank's top level. Gutenberg points his finger at Indy. The rapidly fires bullets. Indy dodges around the side of the tank. Bullets bounce off the metal beside him. Meanwhile, Indy's friends sit breathlessly on the swaying trees. Everybody's silent, still. Christopher silently sneezes. The tree creaks. It wavers up with the ravine's edge, nearly going over, but it doesn't. Everybody catches their breath. The tree continues to teeter.
All right, new voice.
You are a 70s punk at the first Ramones show at CBGB.
Oh, Gutenberg pursues Indiana, playing cat and mouse along the top level of the tank. Indiana peers around the corner, seeing Gutenberg ahead. Indiana grabs hold of the large rotating barrel behind Lindy. Indy lifts his feet. He swings forward, riding the gun barrel. Man, he spins around the tank side and comes up behind the unsuspecting Gutenberg. Indy jumps the Nazi. They begin to fight. Gutenberg tries to move his mechanical arm into position to shoot Indy. The tank continues to lose control. It no longer spins in circles. It is headed straight towards the tree filled with the Indy's friends.
All right, new voice.
You're a valedictorian speaker at Mumbler's U graduation.
Enter a time. Taking a sentence, I want you to hear the parents come homeless. Thanks to your airplane, good work in the Indiana. Continue to fight suddenly, losing money on an airplane undone. Indiana looks at the sky and as the airplane flies towards them, the biplane dives. Moving lower. Gutenberg rolls out of the way. In the end, trap. I'm sitting back. The biplane sniffs down, trying to hit Indy. He dives onto the top layer, laying flat. The plane flies directly on him. Meanwhile, the plane flies directly toward the swing trees in the ravine. Peggy, Bending, Claire, and Kazur, and others remain frozen.
You are now.
You can't stop her from giving her speech.
I know. Tough guy trying not to cry while getting tattooed.
Indian Gerber have reassumed their fate. Standing on the tank's top, the biplane moves into the air, comes back from another shoot. Gerber leans out of his pit, plane heads straight for Indy, and Kip dives into the tank's top. The biplane shoots down, and for the first time, lower passes Indy and the wheel grazes his back. Indy cries out.
And there you go. That is the end of your action gauntlet. And just to recap, that last section, Indy's being attacked by a Nazi biplane. That's basically it. And now we end with me reprising the action gauntlet to finish this off. So here it is. Let's finish this.
Okay, let's start it off with some Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. His back aching, Indy struggles to keep Gutenberg's machine gun arm from shooting him. The biplane does another mid-air loop. It turns and heads straight for Indy. This time the plane won't miss, and as the biplane gets close, Indy grabs a tight hold of Gutenberg's mechanical arm. And unlike Reed Richards' arms, these don't stretch. Indy raises the arm, aiming at the biplane. Indy pulls the arm's trigger, firing a round of shots. The rapid bullets strike the plane belly. The biplane loses control. The engine coughs, dies, just like that Fantastic Four will die when I meet up with them at the reunion. There's a flaming crash and they all die. What's the new voice?
Tyra Banks teaching models how to smize.
No idea what that. I can't even make myself do that voice. I'm just gonna go based off of Shara's look. Indiana overpowers Gutenberg.
Yeah.
With 2 hard punches. Indy floors the Nazi. Gutenberg lies sprawled on the tank's top, like a tank top. Unconscious, Indy turns. He sees that the speeding tank is going to crash into the tree full of his friends. Indiana leaps into the open tank compartment. New voice.
7-year-old asthmatic smoker.
7-year-old or 70-year-old?
70.
All right. Indy, Anna takes the controls of the tank, and but they are completely alien to him. He hears a squeal. Tiki is behind him. Tiki motions to a specific control, and Indy grabs hold of it. Oh my God! It's the exterior of the planes. The tank screeches, spinning to a stop. Oh, inches from the swaying tree, Scraggy, Claire, all the people, they emit a unified sigh of relief. But, the tree suddenly cracks, it tilts, it falls over the ravine edge. Everyone screams. You all scream right now. Everybody scream. Great. Your neighbors love you. And new voice.
Henchman/goon from the animated Batman series.
Oh, man. Two-Face, he'd love to hear about this story here. Okay, so there's this sudden crack of a whip. The whip wraps itself around the trunk of the tree. Indiana, he holds the opposite end, and he pulls with all his strength, holding the tree in place. He prevents the tree from falling into the ravine. And he shouts to his friends through gritted teeth.
Jump! Jump!
Everyone begins to leap from the tree to the ground. Indy continues to hold the tree in place. His muscles, they're bulging. Like, you ever seen Bane? Oh, they're like that. They're like Bane when he hits that button. Yeah, you know how it is. Oh, man. Oh, God. Sweat pouring. His veins are popping. Yeah, it's like Bane. On the top level of the tank, Gutenberg, he stirs. He's waking up. But Indy is upon him using a rope. Indy ties up Gutenberg. Sure, it didn't seem possible, but he did it. And he removes the ammo cartridge from the Nazi's mechanical arm. Emptying the bullets into the ground, Indy pushes Gutenberg inside the tank. And you know what? Let's just finish this up here because, you want to know this story. Tiki crawls out of the tank. He sees Claire. He's looking at her. Tears of happiness fill his eyes. He runs to Claire. The two exchange a warm embrace. Tiki sees Scraggy. They shake hands. They begin an excited conversation. Like they're two old friends there. And what's do you hear like a boomerang or something spinning around? Is that a boomerang? There you go. And that is the end of the action gauntlet. Thank you for going with us on that exciting journey.
Yeah.
There's only one more mini little one. Nothing like that. But that was a huge action scene. And Indy rode a rhinoceros, fought a giant tank and a biplane, saved everybody with a tree and his bulging muscles. That's basically what you got to take away from that. And now Tiki, the pygmy, has been reunited with this motley crew of people. And now we begin. Interior tank. Indy grabs the radio microphone. He holds it in front of Gutenberg. And just be normal for this point.
Call your mommy.
And Gutenberg growls. He speaks German into the microphone. The voice of Lieutenant Mephisto answers. Echoing over the speakers, Indy grabs the microphone, interrupting.
This is Jones. I've got your tank. It's all over, pal. You lose.
All right. Cut to a close-up of Lieutenant Mephisto. He's the Nazi leader guy. He is angry, upset, but he forces himself to calmly address Indiana. And Mephisto, you are Pat. No, you're not. You're gonna be Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park.
Oh, DNA. Dr. Jones, you surprise me. For a supposedly intelligent man, you jump to childish conclusions. Remember, you are driving our tank. We can follow you anywhere. You are far from defeating us, my friend. The battle has only just begun.
Very threatening words from the leader of the Nazi party. Camera pulls back. Mephisto is standing beside a long row of tents housing many troops. Several jeeps are parked in the background, all mounted with recoilless cannons. 5 canvas trucks are also here, filled with more troops, cannons, and ammunition. The Nazis have assembled an entire army. Indiana drops the microphone. Suddenly worried, he hurries out of the tank. Gutenberg stays behind, laughing. Exterior planes. Indiana hurries to Tiki and the others. Indy shoots an impatient glance to Scraggy. And for this, Indiana and Scraggy and Betsy. Oh, God. Indiana, you are... You're all normal. We just did too many voices. Just be normal people for a scene. It's great.
We've got to move. Fast. Ask him if he knows the way to the city from here.
Scraggy asks Tiki. The pygmy answers. Pointing off screen, Scraggy translates for Indy.
I do not know the exact place, but it is somewhere over there.
Indy turns the direction where Scraggy points. Several miles away, we see countless rows of mountains. Thick layers of clouds surround the mountains. Indiana sighs.
A lot of good that does us. Could take us months, years to search for every one of those.
Betsy has an idea. She removes the stone mirror from Indiana's pocket.
Maybe he knows what to do with this.
Betsy gives the mirror to Tiki. His eyes widen. In awe, Tiki recognizes the mirror. He excitedly explains to Scraggy, who translates for Indiana.
It is magical mirror of Sun Wukong.
Yeah, but what do you do with it?
Scraggy asks Tiki. The energetic pygmy places the mirror against an upright stone. Tiki adjusts the mirror until its face is pointing at the mountains. Tiki emits a high-pitched giggle. Let's hear it, Tiki, the pygmy. Anyone who wants to be Tiki the pygmy's giggle. Thank you. Pointing to the mirror, everyone gathers around it. The soundtrack music soars. The mirror reflects the clouds above the mountains, but above one specific mountain, we see the image of a city reflected in the clouds. Indiana turns away from the mirror, looking at the specific mountain, but the city is only reflected in the magical mirror. Claire smiles at Indy, quoting Tiki from earlier.
I come from land of city on clouds.
Indy nods, hopeful, anxious. He looks back at the magical reflection. Cut to a tank. Traveling on a narrow path along the side of the steep mountain, the tank moves upward towards the mountaintop. The tank jerks, wobbles, as if its driver is having trouble with the controls. Interior tank. Indiana drives. Unfamiliar with the controls, the tank is crowded with everyone. Betsy and Claire sit beside Indy. Gutenberg is directly behind him, and so forth. The various crew members are watching this display. The game appears to be a bizarre version of chess that apparently Scraggy and Tiki are playing. Sorry, I skipped over something, but Kazur is playing a game that's like similar like chess. There we go. Kazur, do your thing.
This is called Tezkipi, only the bravest play.
Upon hearing this, Scraggy is even more excited. The game begins. Indiana is becoming extremely frustrated by the tank controls. Betsy gives a serious look to him. And so, voices for this. Let's do your Thor, Indiana. And let's have Claire and Betsy. Let's go to the audience for that, Megan. Claire and Betsy.
All right, let's do a solar-powered robot who accidentally slept all afternoon and now the sun is setting and they are regretful.
That one's Shara.
Okay. And the other one is a fanboy / girl / person.
Okay, and then Scraggy and Kazur, you will both be Pat Buttram, who is the Sheriff of Nottingham and all these Western movies. Sheriff Nottingham from the Robin Hood. So we'll have you guys do those voices, and I think that is everyone. Continue.
I've been talking to Dr. Clark about our problem.
Problem? Hey, what are you two doing talking behind my back?
Oh my god. Betsy needed help and I obliged.
Since when did you become the female Sigmund Freud?
Since I received a master's degree in psychology, I love you so much. Oh my god.
And he rolls his eyes. Meanwhile, Kazur has taken all of Scraggy's tokens. He's obviously won the game. A carefree Scraggy throws up his hands.
We play again? The game is not yet over, my friend. Oh, you have lost. You must pay.
I don't have any money.
No money. Rules of the game declare that I may choose a souvenir, a part of your body, any part I wish.
Scraggy gulps. Kazur pauses, rubbing his jaw, thinking. Meanwhile, Betsy explains to the engines.
Dr. Clark says that you're not really in love with me, but just trying to prove that you can't still attract younger women. You're terrified of getting old.
It's crazy.
That's what I told her. I told her that you really did love me.
Well, that's, well...
You mean she was right?
No, I mean, yes, I mean...
Indy turns, seeing Claire glaring at him. Indy sighs, pauses, he gives Betsy a tender, honest look.
No, Betsy, I don't love you.
That's the first time you ever said it.
Betsy begins crying, like a robot would, into Claire's arms. Indiana shakes his head. Claire comforts Betsy.
There. He's a very disturbed man.
Indiana sighs. Oh, that's so her bag. He turns face to face with grinning and nodding Guterberg. Kazur has made his decision. Scraggy waits, terrified. Kazur raises his knife towards Scraggy's face.
Your eyes, they are a striking deep blue.
Scraggy covers his face. Kazur attacks him, trying to cut off Scraggy's eyes. A fight begins. The crew members versus the pirates. Indiana turns away from the controls. He breaks up the fight.
Enough. We're in this together. If we start fighting among ourselves, we'll never get out alive.
The men calm down, catching their breath. Kazur puts away his knife. He glares at Scraggy.
You owe me, old man.
Exterior mountain, the tank without a driver begins to swerve off the mountain road. Interior tank. Claire notices the tank going over the mountain. She screams.
Dr. Jones, sign my chest!
Indy turns, leaping to the controls. Because that's what he calls breasts. He hurriedly steers the tank back to the mountain path, saving it at the last moment. Everyone catches their breath. Indiana steps on the gas, continuing ahead. Exterior mountain a few hours later. The tank has nearly made it to the top of the mountains. Trekking through the narrow rocky ravine, the tank rolls to a stop. The top hatch flips open. Indiana, Scraggy, and Tiki pop out. Tiki suddenly points to the mountaintop, which is cloaked in thick layer of clouds. Tiki's eyes fill with joyous tears. He begins to shout. His voice squeals with excitement. Scraggy translates for Indy.
He say that 2 miles ahead, we will find his home.
Aww. Indiana smiles, excited for the prospects. Touched by Tiki's reaction, Indy looks to the foot of the mountains several miles below. The Nazi forces have arrived. They are all still at least 2 hours from reaching Indiana and the others. Indy pauses, worried. He looks at the surrounding rocky walls, then to the tank's enormous gun barrel. An idea. He hurries back inside of the tank. Scraggy and Tiki follow, closing the hatch above them. And so for this next scene in the interior of the tank with Indy and Gutenberg talking, we will have you be Megatron and Optimus Prime. You know which one's which.
How do I work the big gun?
Gutenberg smiles. He refuses to answer. Indy has no time for games. He looks at Kazur.
Want your souvenir? Start with his good arm.
Kazur smiles and removes his long knife. He moves it to Gutenberg's neck. The sniveling Nazi cries out.
Wait. Please.
Indy nods to Kazur. The Pirate King moves his knife. Gutenberg hurriedly points to 2 switches at the control panel.
Yes. Yes. There, that is what you want.
Oh, I love it. Indiana nods. He turns to the switches. Exterior ravine. Close up, the tank's large gun barrel swivels, pointing upward to the rocks above. The gun fires a shot. It swivels a few feet, then fires another and another. A rumbling sound echoes through the area. Interior tank. Indy hits the gas, and we approach our quick little action gauntlet. And Megan is so excited. And dear God, who wants to volunteer? I want to volunteer for one of them. Come on, who wants the action gauntlet? There it is, Isaac.
All right.
All right, do it, buddy.
Isaac. Andy from Parks and Rec, who just ate a family-sized bag of M&Ms.
Ooh, Zoran.
God damn it. Oh! Oh! Oh, I'm basically Chris Pratt, who sounds like a normal person.
Oh! the tank shoots forward, speeding ahead. An avalanche begins, just missing the tank. Several pounds of rocks and debris fall from above. The rocks create a thick wall, blocking the mountain path. The tank continues along the twisting, narrow mountain path, moving further and further upward. The tank disappears into the thick clouds that surround the mountain. Interior tank. Indiana looks through the periscope, his view blinded by the clouds.
New voice.
Goku, mid-battle.
Zoran.
I have no idea. I've never heard Goku speak, so I'm just going to go...
Exterior mountain! The tank is a large gray blur in the clouds. Several dark, bulking figures appear. They climb up along the ravine sides and tops. The mysterious figures surround the tank. All are holding enormous boulders over their heads, aimed at the tank. Interior tank.
All right, interior tank. New voice.
Agent Smith from The Matrix, but The Matrix is about to explode in 3 minutes.
Indy eases up on the gas. The tank slows suddenly. There's a loud crash. The tank is hit, rattling, shaking. Everyone is tossed. Save for Indy, who stays at the controls. He continues to guide the tank forward. There is another crash, and another, Mr. Anderson. Now we're going to the exterior of the mountain.
1 minute till detonation. All right, exterior mountain. Let's have a new voice for that.
You are Middle America Karen, who wants to see the manager.
The dark figures shower the tank with heavy boulders. Also, the tank's gun barrel snaps in two. Headlights smash. Its body becomes dented, cracked. Interior tank. Indiana is tough, persistent. He continues to move the jolting tank forward. As the surrounding walls cave in, shatter, everyone panics, screaming, exterior mountain.
And new voice to finish it off.
You are Donald Duck being tased.
Oh, Zoran.
Good luck.
I honestly cannot make that sound.
All right, we'll do a new
How
one then.
about an emo teen hearing that the My Chemical Romance tour has been canceled?
Oh. Wobbling tank moves out of the clouds, arriving around the corner from, the mountaintop. Countless dark figures continue to follow the tank, scurrying along the ravine sides and tops. The figures emerge from the clouds for the first time. They are visible, not like me, who is invisible to society. And we see that the figures are tall, hairy, muscular gorillas. They continue to assault the tank with boulders.
All right, and that is the end of your action gauntlet, my friend. And I will finish it on home here to save the rest of you from the action gauntlets because you got stuff to do at the end here. All right, give me something, Megan.
All right, you are an announcer at a bus station.
into tank. The Indiana still attempts to move the tank forward, but the engine begins to cough and sputter and dies. In the mountain, the tank comes to a sudden stop. Please gather your belongings as one of the gorillas emits a big, high-pitched shriek. Shriek. Sorry about that. Communicating with the others pause. They stop the attack. The gorillas approach the tank slowly, cautiously. We don't want any injuries here. We're trying to get to our destination. And the apes reach out, touching the tank's wrecked body. A few of the apes begin to climb into the tank.
You are now an agitated fishmonger, a fish seller.
The tank's top hatch flips open. Indy's head pops out. Two hairy arms reach into the frame and grab Indiana. Hey, an enormous gorilla pulls Indy out of the hatch. The ape tosses Indy off the screen like I toss fish every morning for 15 years. No one buys them, but hey, let's go back to the gorillas. What are they doing? They're attacking things. Great. I lost my place because of my rant. But anyway, Indy's leather jacket is torn from his body by one of the apes. Yeah, it just tears it right off of him like a jerk. And then the helpless Indy is thrown to yet another gorilla. And then an angry ape raises Indy over his head. The gorilla prepares to throw Indy off the mountain's edge. Can you freaking believe this?
You are now an old man with a voice box trying to order lunch while his voice box is cutting out.
You do not want me to do that because you won't understand at all what's happening, and you want to know what's happening at this one point.
Well, then do your Schwarzenegger.
Oh, my Schwarzenegger. Fine, I'll do my Schwarzenegger. Here we go. Tiki's voice, it erupts from off the screen. The gorilla, it pauses. He's suspending Indiana high in the air. The gorilla, he turns to Tiki. The pygmy stands on the tank. He shouts an order to the gorilla. The ape, he nods. Understanding. He knows what he's saying. The monkey knows. He knows Tiki, the gorilla. He gently he places Indy back on the ground. Indiana adjusts what remains of his clothing. He turns, seeing a group of gorillas. They're huddled together. The gorillas separate. They are dressed. One of the apes in Indiana's hat. They made the monkey look like Indiana. The ape begins to snap a whip. Oh my God. This is the script? You want me to do this movie? With the gorilla dressed like Indy. Okay, well, Scraggy, Betsy, Claire, and the others have climbed out of the tank. Upon seeing the gorilla dressed in his Indy cosplay, they burst into laughter. Very angry, Indiana growls at Tiki in his normal voice. End of action gauntlet.
Tell him to take off my stuff. Very nice.
Yeah, that's right. Talking to gorillas, and the gorillas dressed like Indiana Jones. Woo! Through laughter, Scraggy translates to Tiki. The pygmy shouts and orders the gorilla. The ape removes the hat and leather jacket, reluctantly giving it back to a grumbling Indiana. Is anyone else picturing Amy from the Congo movie doing this? Because that's what I'm doing. Tiki continues to shoot orders to the other gorillas. He obviously has power over the beasts. The gorillas gather together. The apes gently take the hands of various humans. It's a warm, enchanting sight as the friendly gorillas lead the humans forward. Claire, upon her using her gorilla motions and sounds, communicates with the beasts. Why not? The group moves around a twisting corner of the path toward the mountaintop. Around the corner, Indiana and the others are met with an awesome sight. Indy stops. His mouth drops open. The soundtrack music explodes into a thundering crescendo. Crescendo, let's hear it. It almost sounded like Woody Woodpecker singing it. It was great. And so what do they see? the lost city of Sunwoon King. Woo, it's a big golden city. They've made it. There's a big tower, and they see a tremendous tower stretches above the city walls. There's a guard, similar to Tiki. He looks and he sees Tiki. He smiles. The guard cries out, shouting to everyone inside of the city. He continues to repeat a certain phrase. Scraggy translates the guard's words for Indiana, and those words are said like Mufasa from The Lion King.
You say, our prince has returned home.
Very true. Indiana smiles. Soon the beautiful sounds of countless ringing bells are heard, welcoming Tiki home. Eyes watering, a proud Tiki and the gorillas lead everyone to the foot of the city walls. The enormous drawbridge begins to lower. Interior city, we see Indy and the others. The city is bursting with bright colors of various vegetables and fruit gardens and various other exotic plant life. The earthen streets are literally paved with gold. The men and women of the cities are members of Tiki's race. Indiana and the others are in awe of this new world. Gutenberg walks with them. He struggles to untie his bindings. Kazur spots something, a small, solid gold garden tool. Kazur grabs the tool and begins to hide it. A large gorilla hand grabs Kazur's arm. Towering over the pirate king, he's a pirate king, the gorilla waves his finger at Kazur, because that's what gorillas do. Just do this. Oh, a warning. No stealing. The nervous Kazur nods. He places the garden tool back on the ground, like a porno from a convenience store. Meanwhile, Indy and the others are led to an elaborate palace. The palace doors open and an older man steps outside. He is Bobala, the city's ruler. Bobala raises his arms over the crowd. Pygmies and gorillas drop to their knees in reverence. Tiki runs to Bobala. They embrace. Tears of joy fill their eyes. He gives a warm smile to Indiana and the others. He speaks softly and carries a large stick. Now I had to say it. In a wise voice, Scraggy translates for the others. And this, Scraggy, you are Homer Simpson. And Indiana, what Simpson voice can you do? Whichever one you'd like. Marge, you're Marge. Homer and Marge.
All right. He thanked us for returning his son.
Indiana and the others smile. Betsy whispers to Indiana.
If the little guy is pushing 200 years, how old's his father?
Indy motions to Betsy to shh. Bobala continues to speak. Scraggy translates.
His name is Bopala. He is ruler of the city, faithful servant to his lord and master, Sun Wukong. He's welcome us to stay as long as we wish.
Indiana exchanges a hopeful glance with Claire. As Bobala continues to speak, the camera pans to Gutenberg. The Nazi has successfully untied his bindings. Free. While the others listen to Bobala, Gutenberg removes one spare bullet from his mouth. He slyly inserts the bullet into his mechanical arm, which he kept in there during that entire gorilla scene. Indiana is too concerned with Bobala to notice Gutenberg.
Ask him where.
We're on.
Oh, homie. Ask him where we may find a burial place or the remains of Sun Wukong.
You sound as beautiful as ever, Marge.
Scraggy turns to ask Bobala, but his question is interrupted by Gutenberg's mechanical arm. It extends into frame, its finger pointed at Indiana. Everyone stares, shocked, but the bizarre sight greatly amuses Bobala. He begins to laugh. He reaches out and pushes Gutenberg's finger away, but the machine gun goes off, firing. Bobala is hit in the chest. He falls. Tiki kneels, cradling Bobala's head in his arms. Tiki calls his father's name. It is futile. Bobala, he be dead. Oh, the crowd of villagers stare confused. They are unaccustomed to violence. Indiana clutches Gutenberg by the throat.
Bastard!
Indiana pulls back his fist to punch the Nazi, but Indy is stopped by the palace guards. They move their swords to his throat. Indy is suddenly puzzled. The villagers fall to their knees, bowing to Gutenberg. A distraught Tiki hurriedly explains to Scraggy, who translates for Indiana.
It is written, if ruler is defeated by greater power, he possesses that power. Shall become ruler.
Gutenberg's eyes fill with a sadistic thrill. He raises his mechanical arm in a Heil Hitler pose. The entire city imitates the Nazi, raising their right arms, cheering, hailing their new leader. Indiana is horrified by the scene. Tiki is upset, screaming. He knows that Gutenberg is truly evil, but none of the villagers listen. Indiana looks in the shocked friends, and Gutenberg, can you do any Simpsons voices?
Yeah.
Okay, Simpsons voice it up. Indiana, you're still, just for this one line, you're Marge.
Oh, I have a line? Where?
Top of 93?
Oh.
This is turning into one hell of a nightmare.
Yeah, sorry, Midge. One you will never awaken from, Dr. Jones.
Indy glares at Gutenberg. Claire and Betsy exchange a frightened glance. Interior palace, ruler's chambers, a beautiful expansive chamber filled with tapestries and artwork. Gutenberg sits in an elaborate gold throne. He has donned a ghoulish new outfit, the robes of Bobala, the dead ruler, probably covered in blood and a hole from the bullet. But whatever. Gutenberg is being attended upon by several villagers who bring him countless plates of food. Gutenberg gobbles down the variety of food and wine, drooling, slobbering. Scraggy kneels before the Nazi. Gutenberg uses Indy's whip as a leash. It is tied around Scraggy's neck and held by the Nazi. Oh, Gutenberg pulls the leash hard, nearly strangling Scraggy. His mouth filled with food. Gutenberg screams at Scraggy. And for this scene, Gutenberg... I'm just going to call you Steve Gutenberg. That's what I'm just going to call you. That's not the voice I'm giving you. But, you know, we didn't get to hear much of it before, so I want your Daffy Duck. We only got to hear it for one line.
Here. I want to see Jones.
Scraggy translates for the guards. Interior dungeon. Indy and the others are locked inside. Everyone is silent, staring, waiting. Claire consoles a tearful, despondent Tiki. The dungeon gates open. The two guards enter. They drag Indiana out of the dungeon. Betsy calls out to Indy, trying to follow, but the guards slam the wooden door in Betsy's face. She peers through the small barred window, worried and upset. Interior palace. Indy is led into the ruler's chambers. Indy sees Scraggy tied with a leash. An angry, vengeful look covers Indy's face. He turns to Gutenberg, the Nazi still stuffing his face with food. He pulls tightly on Scraggy's leash. You're still Daffy Duck, and Ted, can you do any Looney Tunes?
Yeah, I'll do Bugs.
Okay.
I'll do Marvin the Martian.
Great.
Your friend makes the wonderful interpreter.
Indy's eyes burn. Gutenberg gulps down a glass of wine. Liquid spittles from the side of his mouth. He looks at Indy.
The Nazi Party will exist for 1,000 years, and I wish it to be alive for every year. That is the favorite philosophy of our Führer.
Your Führer's philosophy is belong in a bathroom wall.
This is a very serious matter, Dr. Jones. It could save your life. I understand that somewhere in this city there is a garden of immortal peaches. I want some information about this garden, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would share everything you know with me.
I don't share anything with Nazis.
Gutenberg nods. He takes another bite of food, shooting a glowering look to Indiana.
Very well. My friends will be here soon. They will rest. Enjoy the pleasures of my newfound kingdom. Then we shall exterminate these worthless people. Destroy their city. We will carry away all its riches and in pieces.
Oh my. Gutenberg goes back to all his food. Scraggy exchanges a worried glance with Indy. Cut to the Nazi army traveling along the narrow path. They are more than halfway up the mountain. Lieutenant Mephisto rides in the front jeep. He looks to his driver, who reports to Mephisto. And for this line, a man who has a severe headache and who has been swimming in toxic waste and that's probably the cause of his headache, but he also now has no concept of time whatsoever. He's never learned to read a clock. He doesn't know anything about it whatsoever, and he probably has a bunch of tumors growing inside of his body. So go.
Have the most tragic characters.
I always give you the tragic characters. So this is the driver.
Sir, Oh, we shall reach the mountain at top in less than 60 minutes.
Mephisto nods, and he's anxious. Cut to the Lost City Coliseum, an enormous stone arena. It resembles the Roman Colosseum in size and structure. The Colosseum's top walls are surrounded by countless large metal bells. There are many seats filled with members of the village, all gathered for a special event. Gutenberg sits in the elaborate ruler's box. It is covered with a protective golden grating. The box is located directly above the earthen playing field. Indy's whip is still tied around Scraggy's neck, who kneels at Gutenberg's feet. Two guards lead a shirtless Indiana Jones into the playing field. They bring Indy to a steel cage located directly below Gutenberg's box. Inside of the cage are two enormous buffalo. Angry, restless. Animal wranglers dream on this movie. My God. Betsy, Claire, Tiki, Kazur, the remaining pirates and crew members all helplessly watch from behind, from the inside of a large metal cage. The cage is suspended in the air, dangling over a deep pit, and it's filled with countless man-eating tigers. Countless. What? The number that all producers want to see when they're reading a script. Countless tigers. Indy is led to the cage between the two buffalo. The guard grabs hold of Indy. They tie one of his arms and one of his legs to each side of the buffalo, preparing to draw and quarter him. Something for the kids. All right, a delighted Gutenberg peers down at Indy. And for this, Gutenberg, you are Vinny from Atlantis, the movie Atlantis.
Okay, Dr. Jones, those beasts are anxious to run wild, flee. How long will they be able to ride before they tear you into two? I don't know. Goodbye, Dr. Jones.
Gutenberg turns to the guards, ready to give them the order to open the cage and set the buffalo free. Indy suddenly screams, and he says it in the cutest little kid's voice he has ever used.
Hitler!
Upon hearing the words, Gutenberg stands like a robot. He raises his mechanical arm in a Heil Hitler pose, and in this one, you are a Minnesotan mom.
Oh gosh, dear. Heil Hitler, huh?
The fingers of Gutenberg's mechanical arm get caught in the metal grating above his head. Gutenberg pulls to try and get his arm out of the grating, but it's ripped from its socket and it dangles. The crowd watches, puzzled, shocked. Scraggy thinks fast. He leaps to his feet, grabs the arm. Scraggy holds the arm above his head. Now he possesses the power. The crowd cheers Scraggy, their new ruler. Gutenberg steps back, suddenly frightened. Scraggy orders the guards to free Indiana. The guards hurriedly untie Indy from the buffalo. Gutenberg turns, running out of the Colosseum. Scraggy screams to the people, motioning for them to follow Gutenberg. Several people leap from their sheets, chasing the Nazi. Exterior Colosseum. Gutenberg dashes out. A crowd of villagers follow him in hot pursuit. Gutenberg runs towards the city gates. He runs through the escaping. He just keeps running. He's running, and he disappears into the mountains. Interior Colosseum. Indy rejoins his friends. Indy is impatient. He looks worried. Normal voice, Indy.
Nazis will be here soon. We gotta move fast.
Scraggy gives Gutenberg's mechanical arm to Tiki. The pygmy nods. He understands. Tiki raises the arm above the people. They cheer Tiki, their rightful ruler. Tiki pulls back and throws the mechanical arm high into the air. It soars several feet, flying over the Colosseum walls. Exterior city. The arm flies through the air. It lands in the moat. The arm is attacked by a horde of hungry sharks.
Wow.
Every animal ever is in this for one shot. One shot. We need to spend the money on this. All right. They tear. Of course, they would tear the metal arm to pieces. Why wouldn't they? They're sharks. Anyway, exterior mountain path. The Nazis have arrived at the section of the path that is blocked by the avalanche. Several sticks of dynamite have been placed beneath the avalanche. The TNT is connected to a long fuse. Lieutenant Mephisto, he strikes a match. Mephisto is interrupted by a familiar voice. It's Gutenberg. Mephisto blows out the match. A soaking wet Sergeant Gutenberg slides down the edge of the ravine. He still wears the colorful, elaborate robes of Bombala. Gutenberg drips water all over Mephisto, who is disgusted by the appearance of his officer. He slaps Gutenberg, and Mephisto is one of the guys from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
idiot. Why? Why are you dressed like that? Where is your uniform?
Before he can attempt to answer, he's shoved away by the disgusted Mephisto, who attempts to light the fuse, but his matches are useless, soaked with water. Furious, Mephisto slaps Gutenberg, ordering him to fetch something. The sniffling Gutenberg nods and bows, scurrying away. Interior truck. Gutenberg's greasy fingers open a briefcase. Inside is another mechanical arm. They always come in pairs. Gutenberg quickly attaches the arm to the stub of his shoulder and runs back outside. Exterior mountain path. Gutenberg rejoins Mephisto, extends his mechanical arm towards the fuse. A jagged line of electricity shoots from the arm's fingers. The electricity lights the fuse. Gutenberg and Mephisto hide behind the rock. There's a loud explosion. The path is cleared. The sound of the explosion echoes through the city, shaking the city walls. The Nazis are close. Indiana stands in the city square. He has assembled everyone for the battle. Tiki and the pygmies are armed with bows and arrows. Oh my goodness. Spears and blowpipes. Kazur and pirates hold their swords. Scraggy's men carry revolvers and daggers. Claire and Betsy stand with several gorillas. Tiki whispers to Scraggy, who translates for Indiana. Scraggy and Indiana in this scene. Okay, here we go. Scraggy and Indiana will be... you know what? Let's have you do your Arnold Schwarzenegger. Both of you. You're both Arnold Schwarzenegger for this one. Jordan asked for it.
They want you to give speech.
Wow!
Before battle, General always gives speech to inspire troops.
General, who the hell do they think I am? Custer?
But all eyes are on Indiana, depending on him. Indy sighs, trying to think of something to say. He mumbles to Scraggy.
Jeez, the only speeches I remember are from college when I played ball.
Scraggy shrugs. Indy clears his throat. He looks at everyone fumbling.
Men and women, we're about to face one of our toughest opponents. They've got size, hardware, and well, quite frankly, we're the underdogs.
Indy's eyes light. A moment of inspiration. The background music slowly begins to rise. Indy's voice becomes louder and tougher.
But, well, if it wasn't for the little guy, where would this country be? I mean, I know this little guy once, a scrawny runt with thick black glasses and about 300 different kind of allergies. But this little kid had a dream. He wanted to be on a football team. Well, all the big guys made his life miserable, always shoving his head in the drinking fountain, putting mustard in his pants, throwing him in the shower with all his clothes on. But that little guy didn't quit. He worked hard, never gave up. And in 2 years, he was the quarterback, star of the team. And do you know why? Because that little kid had something that these big guys never heard of. He had heart, and nothing can stop that. Nothing. Now let's go out there and show them just how tough the little guys are.
And that boy's name was Rudy. Or Lucas. They're both the same. All right. Everyone breaks into a loud cheer. Let's hear it. Loud cheer. All right. The soundtrack soars. We're good. Indiana raises his sword. He turns and runs towards the drawbridge. The people follow as Indy leads them into the battle. And here it is. So instead of an action gauntlet, we are going to have every one of you be news reporters. And you're going to report these action scenes as they happen, because we kind of bounce around to all these different locations. So you'll report news reporters, and you will have a characteristic or a little trait from Megan. So I need for Indiana, so Ted and Shara, what are they?
They are a couple going through a long, bitter divorce with 3 kids.
Perfect. With 3 kids.
Also
Oh, good.
reporters?
Huh?
But also reporters?
Yeah, so you're
But
reporters. So you can do a reporter voice, but then you also have that core of your character.
Okay.
All right. And so then we need one for Scraggy.
He is secretly God, but he is sick of everything.
Amazing. And Dee Dee?
A narrator or a reporter slowly turning into a goat.
Slowly turning into a goat. You have a lot to say, so make the transformation slow.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
And finally, John.
A Final Jeopardy contestant who is clueless, and the song, like they're in the final round of Jeopardy, and they're clueless about everything.
All right, awesome. Okay, so for this next thing, we're not going to be switching voices. Those will be their characters as they read through this action scene, and you hopefully will understand some of the news report. But again, download the script if you want to know what the hell's going on. All right, you may begin.
Indiana, armed with a shield, sword, and pistol, leads his troops forward. The Nazis are approaching. Lieutenant Mephisto rides in the front jeep, which is mounted with a large recoilless machine gun. The entire Nazi army is behind him. Mephisto's jeep begins to cross the drawbridge. I can't
even really speak clearly, can you?
I'm gonna ask you to give me 1 second.
I'm just gonna grab this. Moving toward Indiana and the others, the recoilless machine gunner opens fire on Indy and the troops, and that's how you...
Bullets bounce from Indy's shield. Several of the pygmies are hit, falling to the drawbridge. An angry pygmy throws his spear. It hits the machine gunner.
Through the heart!
I said
That's
it first.
Right.
The jeep continues to drive forward.
Oh, headed straight for Indiana, who leaps onto the jeep's hood. Indy's troops split into groups.
Wow,
Dashing around the
you
speed
rhymed. Dashing around the speeding jeep to battle the oncoming Nazis.
Indiana crawls along the jeep hood toward the Nazis. Mephisto attempts to shoot Indy. The bullets zip through the windshield, whizzing by Indy's head. Indiana grabs Mephisto. He pulls the Nazi over the windshield. Indiana and Mephisto tumble along the jeep's hood, fighting, struggling for the gun.
The jeep
Good night.
directly behind, can I finish? Mephisto is filled with several crates of dynamite. Gutenberg, back in uniform, rides here with 3 Nazi soldiers. As the pygmy troops come forward, Gutenberg extends his mechanical arm.
Oh,
He
God.
zaps-
Can I, please? He zaps several of the
extended it. He
pygmies,
zaps
killing
them.
them with deadly jolts of electricity.
And as the jeep passes, I said it, through the city gates, Indiana and Mephisto continue to battle
along the hood.
Let's check in with the city for a second here. All right, who's on the interior of the city? Oh, is that still Sheriff? Oh, that's still both of you. Never mind.
I think it's technically our bickering couple.
Oh, you're still bickering. Keep going, guys.
Oh,
Well,
highlighted.
I didn't think it was me because I wasn't highlighted.
Oh, hilarious.
Mephisto attempts to shoot Indiana, but Indy pushes away the Nazi's arm.
The gun fires.
You go. You
Yep.
go.
Oh, can I? Thank you.
Please.
Hitting the Jeep driver, who slumps over the wheel. The speeding Jeep spins out of control. It flips. Take it. Please, be my guest.
Oh, is it my turn?
People have places to be tonight.
Sending Indiana and Mephisto flying through the air. They tumble to the ground. The Jeep crashes into a wall. A shaken Indiana gets to his feet. Mephisto lies a few feet away, out cold.
Out cold. I wanted to say
I
that.
just said that.
Suddenly, a blast of electricity bursts into frame, sparking the ground beside Indiana.
Indy turns
and sees Gutenberg.
The
Nazi's Jeep has entered the city. Gutenberg points his mechanical arm.
All right, you two. Let's switch to somebody else for a second. Basically, what happens is Indy has a cat and mouse game with Gutenberg. All right, we'll get back to you in a second. All right, let's see what's going on with the Tiki and the pygmies.
Well, I'm certainly going to pray for those two. And now, back to my report. Tiki and several pygmies, they have climbed to the top of the city walls. From here, they guard and defend their city. Crowds of Nazi troops are on foot, running toward the city walls. The pygmies, I shouldn't have invented those, showered the Nazis with arrows, spears, and poisonous darts.
The Nazis fight back with machine guns and rifles. A heated, bloody battle. Jesus Christ. Scraggy and the crew members, they stand at the city gate, protecting the city entrance. They hurriedly load a large wooden catapult. I remember when those came out. With a huge ball of hay. Classic. A crew member torches the hay. It bursts into flame. Scraggy cries, "Fire!" His men launch the fireball. It sails over the city walls. It's called math, people. It's called planning. Come on. The fireball lands directly onto a speeding Nazi Jeep. The Nazis and Jeep catch fire. The vehicle loses control. The flaming Jeep crashes into the side of a mountain wall.
All right, now let's check in with the Nazi tank. We got Dee Dee on the Nazi tank there.
Real quick, Zoran, goat. Quick little goat. A Nazi tank rolls towards the city, its gun barrel aimed at the city walls. Cameras pan away. Several feet ahead of the tank, camera moves upward to the mountaintop above the path. Claire is here. A group of gorillas are beside her. The apes, each have a tight hold of individual sections of hanging vine. They stand at the edge of the ravine. Claire looks to the opposite ravine. Betsy is here. She stands with another group of gorillas who also securely hold lengths of vine. On the mountain path, the Nazi tank passes directly beneath Betsy and Claire. The two women turn to the gorillas, emitting gorilla grunts, moans, and motions. Betsy and Claire communicate with the apes. The gorillas listen, nodding, understanding when the tank is directly below. On the ground, we're hearing that Betsy and Claire order the gorillas to jump. The apes swing from the mountain, riding the vines towards the tank. Inside the tank, it's filled with Nazis. The gunner looks into the periscope. He is met with the reflection of a snarling gorilla's face. Does anybody have anything else that I can eat? I will take paper. I will take anything. There's a sound of ripping metal. I'm sorry, I'm back with you. We're just getting some feedback. Suddenly, the tank's top hatch is torn open. Countless gorillas pour inside. The apes attack, overpowering the Nazis. As the gorillas climb inside of the tank, Betsy swings across the passageway to Claire. She exchanged a congratulatory, "I'm so sorry, I have shat all over everything." Luckily, it doesn't smell too much. A group of Nazis have climbed to the mountaintop. The soldiers spot Claire and Betsy. They run towards the women. Betsy and Claire, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Dee Dee. And we are now going to check in with the two large canvas trucks. What's going on there, John? What's going on there?
All right, well, as I can see it barreling along the mountain path, Kazir, the pirate king, leaps from the side of the path. The hell's transcendental poetry? Between the two trucks, Kazir climbs onto the rear bumper of the first truck. The driver of the second truck spots Kazir. He looks like he's beginning to fire at the pirate king as bullets whiz by him. Kazir hurriedly removes a thick metal chain from around his neck. That's a very quick-paced theme song. He securely connects the two truck bumpers with the chain filled with Nazi troops, seated, armed, waiting to fight. Sounds like there's a sudden ripping. Oh, God. I bet so much. Followed by another and another. Looks like the Nazis are startled to see the blades of countless swords. Is it Thoreau? Who is Thoreau? Did he write Walden Pond or not? Looks like they've pierced the canvas for all sides of the truck. I'm not getting anything out of this other than the free prize to give people at the end. Several pirates leap through the canvas. They have attacked the Nazis, and it looks like the Nazis are fighting back with bayonets and daggers. Alex, for the love of Christ, let me take another question.
It looks like the two pirates have burst into the cabin. They have stabbed the Nazi driver. Ooh, golly. The cackling pirates take control of the steering wheel. Maybe if I just make some quick edits and turn this dollar into a cent sign. No, that's not going to work. They madly have steered the truck toward the steep edge of the mountain path. We just flush that song out, please. The first truck plummets over the edge. Looks like the second truck has been attached by the metal chain, has followed the first truck. Oh, it's canvas. The truck's fallen into the moat, splashing into the shark-infested waters.
Okay, all right. Let's give you a second to breathe there and reevaluate your life choices. And we're going to check back in with the city here. And Ted and Shara, let's hope that they've calmed down a little bit. And here they are.
Take it, please. Just take it like you've taken everything else.
Oh, really? Taken anything that wasn't already mine. The Nazis have planted an enormous pile of dynamite on the palace stairs, enough to destroy my heart and the entire city. The TNT is attached to a long fuse that stretches hundreds of feet over various sections of the city. The Nazi light the fuse and it sparks. It ignites. It burns so bright and fast. The Nazis turn and run.
And run. I'm taking the cab.
Great. I wasn't wondering. Gutenberg continues to chase Indiana. Blasts of electricity shoot from the Nazis' arm. Indy ducks, dodges, avoiding the electrical jolts. Indy spins around the building corner. He spots the burning fuse. It stretches along the ground, moving up over a wooden fence. Indy dives and stomps out the fuse, just like my heart. But Gutenberg is directly behind.
But Gutenberg is directly behind it. Let me just take it. Relights the fuse with a shot of electricity. Before Indy has a chance to stop the fuse, Gutenberg aims at Indy. Indy leaps over the fence. Gutenberg shoots. The fence is splintered by the powerful electric blast, and that's how you do it.
Indiana runs into a small alleyway. The burning fuse. Sometimes I can't finish. He stretches up along the alley wall. You're just not even there. You're
I'm sorry,
there, but you're not even there.
I apologize. I really do.
Do you?
From the bottom of my heart, I feel like we should work this out.
Okay, let's give the people what they want.
You take it.
And
Ladies
let's
first.
talk about it.
Okay, we're going to let them kind of work that out, and we'll get back to whatever's going on with Indy and Gutenberg in a second. Let's actually just check back in with Tiki and the pygmies there. They need a moment to kind of repair things.
Well, battling the oncoming Nazis with his sword, Tiki fights hard, fast. He manages to defeat many Nazis, but the sword is suddenly knocked from Tiki's hand. A troop of Nazis come toward him. Their eyes murderous, Tiki is trapped, helpless. Scraggy and his crew members load another fireball onto the catapult. Scraggy cries, "Fire!" Fireball flies over the city. Didn't we just read this? The fireball flies over the city walls. It lands directly in front of the Nazi troops who are about to attack Tiki. Many of the soldiers catch fire. The others run from the flames. Tiki is unhurt. He rejoins his friends in the battle. You know what? I'm sending another flood. I'm gonna send another flood. That's what they need.
All right. We'll get back to you in a second, but now let's check back in with Dee Dee. We've cleaned up that little mess that she left behind her, and we are going to see what's going on with Claire and Betsy in the tank.
Thank you. Yes. Claire and Betsy are breathless, frightened, and they continue to run through the jungle. They move on tiny little hooves like these. The Nazis are a few feet behind them, moving fast, getting closer, and the women turn a corner, scramble through a section of bushes, and find themselves face to face with... I'm sorry, that was Nazis. Find themselves face to face with Nazis. Claire and Betsy stop, trapped, surrounded by Nazis. As you can see, I have begun growing horns. Please pay no attention to the horns protruding from my head. I'm going to go ahead and read my line as Claire now. Do exactly what I do. Betsy nods, the Nazis move closer, and Claire looks to the sky. She begins to make a bizarre high-pitched noises. That's actually written in the script. A confused Betsy makes the same noise, and the Nazis look at each other and chuckle. The women continue to make the sounds. I will literally eat anything. Does anybody have a scrunchie? I will eat it. Suddenly, the exact sound seems to echo from the sky. It becomes louder, but it belongs to 100 voices. The Nazis pause, looking upward, puzzled. Shall I continue?
No, I think we're good for that. We're gonna check in with the canvas trucks. So we'll just jump over to John, see how he's doing. That timer still goes on behind him though, so he's still got a little bit of time to answer.
Yes, of course. They crookedly, the canvas trucks that I'm following right now, they have crookedly been floating along these shark-infested waters. The battered, bruised trucks now resemble two sinking pirate ships. Maybe it's Beckett. Maybe it's Beckett. Maybe it's Samuel Beckett. Maybe it's playwright Samuel Beckett. Kajur and the pirates battle the Nazis along the truck frames. The pirates fight in their element, water. With fast swinging swords, the pirates are defeating the Nazis. Several Nazis fall into the water and are immediately attacked by countless sharks.
Countless.
At one point,
timer's going, man. Timer's going. You don't have much time.
Kajur falls in the water. Several sharks come for him. The Pirate King disappears beneath the water surface. A few of his men, worried of raid, suddenly Kajur leaps out of the water. He holds a live shark in his hands. The crazed Kajur takes a bite from the shark. He tosses the fish back into the water. Oh, God. Kajur chews and swallows the raw shark meat. Blood spills down his chin. Kajur resumes his fighting with the Nazis. The two truck frames continue to sink.
Okay, that's great. Shark eating, sure, live shark eating. That's a thing that we have there. And we're gonna jump back over to the tank. How's things going over there with Betsy and Claire?
Thank you, Zorn. I'm here on the side of a mountain, perched quite precariously. Several Nazis are sprawled on the tank floor, unconscious, undressed. Camera pans upward, and the guerrillas have taken control of the tank. They have dressed themselves in Nazi uniforms. Exterior tank.
How did they fit?
Battle.
How did they fit? How did the Nazi uniforms fit on guerrillas?
We're going live to the Nazi guerrillas right now. Nazi guerrillas are raging around us. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get an interview. Poop is flying. The Nazis stare through their periscope, puzzled by the sight of their own tank coming towards them. I'm going to have to headbutt a tank with my horns. One moment. Okay, the guerrillas tank fires a direct shot at the other Nazi tank. Blam! The Nazi tank is blown to smithereens. Back to you, Zoran.
Okay. Wow. All right. So while all that was going on, apparently Gutenberg was killed. Sorry, that's a late-breaking report. I was just handed that. Gutenberg was killed. He fired electricity and backfired, and he exploded. And so now he's dead. And so that's the end of him. And now we are going to check back in with Ted and Shara as, I believe, Indy and Mephisto, the Lieutenant Mephisto, are in another game of cat and mouse. Another chase scene is happening here. So let's see how they're doing. And let's check back in with them.
Anya, I think we should go every other one. We've decided to work things out, and I couldn't be happier.
I'm into it.
Indiana walks across the Coliseum floor.
Revolver in hand.
He moves slowly.
Cautiously.
He is looking for a sign of Mephisto.
But everything is silent.
Calm.
Deserted.
Mephisto sneaks along the top wall of the Coliseum.
Hiding behind the row of surrounding bells.
The Nazi unlatches the chain that holds all of the bells in place.
The bell begins to fall.
Thundering down the Coliseum stairs.
Indy covers his ears.
The sound of countless clanging bells is nearly deafening.
He turns.
Seeing the enormous bells rolling toward him.
Indiana begins to run.
Giant rolling bells chase him from all directions.
Indy twists, turns, leaps.
In an effort to avoid being crushed by the heavy bells, oh God, I love you.
I love you, Mephisto watches from above.
Smiling.
Indy continues to run.
A giant rolling bell chases him from behind.
The bell gains speed.
Getting closer.
Closer.
A few feet in front of Indy.
Is the deadly tiger pit.
But Indy can't stop running or he'll be crushed by the bell.
Indy leaps into the pit.
The bell rolls directly over the pit.
But Indiana is safe.
There's a 5-inch drop from the ground to the pit's overhead metal bars.
Indy lies on the bars.
Safely above the countless tigers.
The bells have all come to a stop.
They lie around the Coliseum ground.
Still.
Only one bell gently rocks.
It slowly teeters on the Coliseum stairs.
It hasn't yet rolled off like our love.
Indiana begins to climb out of the pit when suddenly
another gunshot rings out.
Indy is hit
in the chest.
He slips.
Falls.
His wounded body is sprawled on the bars.
Teetering.
Ready to fall into the waiting tigers like my heart.
Mephisto's Luger is smoking.
The Nazi walks down the Coliseum stairs.
He moves towards Indiana.
Seeing Mephisto heading for him.
Indiana removes his gun.
He aims at the Nazi.
But Indy's vision is blurred.
His hands tremble.
Mephisto's silhouette nears.
But the bullet zips past Mephisto and strikes a section of the wood below the teetering bell.
This causes the bell to fall.
And slowly roll forward.
Mephisto arrives at the edge of the tiger pit.
He is about to shoot Indy.
Then comes upon another idea.
Mephisto lowers the Luger.
He gives a swift kick to Indy's ribs. Ow.
Indiana falls through the bars.
His arm shoots out.
With the last bit of strength, Indy's hand grabs hold of the bar.
Clutching on for dear life.
His body dangles over the tigers.
They snap at his legs.
Hungry.
Growling.
Mephisto smiles.
He steps on Indy's fingers.
Grinding them beneath his boot heel.
Indy cries out.
Oh. He's going to fall.
Mephisto pauses.
He hears something behind him.
A clanging bell.
Getting closer.
Louder.
Mephisto turns.
He sees the giant bell.
Coming at him.
Only inches away.
There is no time to move.
The bell rolls over Mephisto.
Knocking him into the pit.
Mephisto falls through the bars.
Inside the pit.
Into the middle of the hungry tigers.
Mephisto screams.
The tigers are upon him.
The Nazi is ripped to shreds.
Within seconds, his screams are a memory.
A very weak Indiana still clutches the bar.
He manages to boost himself out of the pit.
He takes a few steps.
Wobbling.
Blood pours from the wound in his chest.
He stumbles.
To his knees.
His eyes roll back.
He falls to the ground.
His body is still.
Motionless.
I'm glad those two were able to patch things up. That's a very happy ending for the two of them there. Hope to see them at the office Christmas party. And now we're going to check back in with the interior of the tank with Dee Dee. How are things going there with the gorillas?
That's right, Zoran. We're inside the tank, and the gorillas, still dressed as Nazis, continue to drive the tank forward. And now we're back outside of the tank, and the tank speeds towards the rows of charging Nazi troops, and the Nazis stop, shocked to see that their own tank is coming at them. But the tank continues to barrel ahead, as stubborn as a goat, some might say. Some might say. Many of the Nazis are crushed beneath the heavy tank treads, and others drop their weapons and run, frightened, screaming like ghosts. Interior tank, the gorillas are ecstatic, howling, cheering. Back to you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. And now let's check back in with Kazura and the Pirates. And John, you only have a few seconds left to answer the question and also give us an update. So good luck, sir.
All right, here we go. They have defeated all of the Nazis. One of the canvas trucks is completely sunk. Only a small section of the other trucks juts out of the water. The pirates cling to the fleeting safety of the sinking truck frame, which is surrounded by several hungry sharks. There are even too many man-eaters for the powerful Kesher to handle. As the frame continues to sink, the pirates' feet get closer to the snapping sharks.
And I'm sorry, you should have said that in the form of a question. You should have said that in the form of a question. I'm sorry, you lost. Let's have...
I have children.
No, I know. You've got kids. We all have kids. But sorry, man. So we're going to move on, and we're going to have Scraggy take over, because you're out of a job.
Is this still going on?
Mhm.
Ugh. They have dropped the line. Kezher and the pirates climb upward to safety. On the drawbridge, Scraggy assists Kezher. Scraggy smiles, repeating Kezher's earlier threat. You owe me, old man. Kezher laughs. He embraces Scraggy. They are joined by Tiki and the other pygmies. Wow, Tiki made it. Amazing. A sudden calm, a sudden silence, finally, overcomes the city. The battle has ended. The Nazis have been defeated. The city is saved. But Tiki is solemn, distressed. He stares off screen, as if he knows where the edge of the screen might be. Camera pans to his POV. We see the countless bodies of pygmies sprawled on the ground, dead. The price you pay for freedom. Suddenly the silence is interrupted. Someone is crying. It is Betsy. Scraggy looks off screen, to the direction of the sounds. The color leaves his face. From Scraggy's point of view, a group of pygmies carry the limp body of Indiana Jones out of the Coliseum. They gently lower Indy's body to the ground. Claire and Betsy kneel beside Indy. Tears run down Betsy's face. Scraggy suddenly breaks away from the crowd. Camera dollies with him as he runs toward Indy. Scraggy stops at Indy's body. Claire, eyes filled with tears, nods to Scraggy. She can barely utter the words.
He's dead.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They killed Indiana Jones in the third movie. That ends our news report. Thank you all for reporting with us live on this evening here. So let's knock this out of the park and see what's happening with dead Indiana Jones. That's right, dead Indiana Jones. Tears erupt in Scraggy's eyes. He breaks down crying, a startling Kezher. He joins the others. Camera pulls back to an extremely long shot. The entire village gathers around Indiana's body. Everyone is solemn and silent. Slow dissolve to a close-up of Indiana's body. It is resting on a bamboo stretcher, covered with exotic, colorful flowers. Camera pulls back. Andy, not from Toy Story. Indy is being carried by several elaborately dressed pygmies at the head of a long funeral procession. Betsy, Claire, Scraggy, and Kezher march beside Indy's body. They also wear the ceremonial funeral flowers behind them. The body of Bombala is being carried, and behind the ruler, bodies of dead pygmies are being carried, and not named, because that's fine, by the remaining villagers and gorillas. It's nighttime. All mourners are carrying flickering candles. At the rear of the procession, a lone pygmy strums an unusual stringed instrument. This creates a haunting melody. The procession arrives at a large stone wall that appears to be a dead end. Tiki walks to the wall. He falls to his knees and begins to chant. There's a small rumble. A hairline crack begins to form in the mountain, as if it were being drawn by an invisible hand. The crack forms. A large door in the wall. The door slowly opens. Tiki enters the procession. The Garden of Immortal Peaches! A breathtakingly beautiful forest of never-ending luscious green trees filled with succulent ripe peaches. We have never seen colors like this, so magical, so intense. There is always a rainbow here. The procession enters. Scraggy, Claire, Betsy, and Kezher stare in total wonderment. Betsy is puzzled by the bright sunlight. And let's get some voices here, Megan. I need Betsy, Scraggy, Claire, and Kezher.
All right. First of all, everyone has to pee. So that was a general thing. One is an Australian trying to skip rope.
Okay.
One is
Scraggy, you're an Australian.
Nick Cage in a hot air balloon chase.
That's Dee Dee.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other one is a thief mid-burglary who just heard the toilet flush that he thought he was in an empty house.
That's
But again, everyone has to
Shara.
pee.
I'm going to have that be
Wait.
Shara.
Real quick, Nick Cage in a hot air balloon chase. Is that what you said?
That was
And
my
I'm
Nick
skipping
Cage.
rope, right?
You're an Aussie skipping rope who has to pee.
And then Kezher is something.
Rod Sterling.
Sure.
Okay.
You may continue.
It's the middle of the night?
Tiki whispers to Scraggy, who explains to Betsy.
1, 2, 3, 4, too much jumping, got to pee. Sun always shining in the garden of immortal peaches.
Claire nods. Kazur is mesmerized by the peach trees. His mouth hangs open. He turns to Scraggy.
These are the peaches that make one forever young.
Scraggy nods. Tiki leads the procession to a clearing in the garden. Many freshly dug graves are here. All the bodies are carried to separate graves. A few feet ahead of the graves rests the largest peach tree in the forest. It's much wider and taller than the others. There's a small glass there's a small glass tomb built into the tree. Inside of the tomb is a tiny skeleton, no more than 4 feet tall. The skeleton is adorned with lion-skinned robe and golden crown. In his hand, the skeleton clutches the famous golden hooped rod. An ancient inscription is etched in stone over the tomb. Pointing to the inscription, Claire turns to Scraggy.
I could eat a peach for hours. What does it say?
Our Lord, our Master, Sun Wukong.
The soundtrack music rises. It's the tomb of the Stone Monkey King. Oh, Claire exchanges an awe-inspired glance with Betsy and then looks to the still body of Indiana.
Damn you, Jones. Why couldn't you be here to share this with me?
The pygmies begin to lower the dead bodies into the ground. Tiki reads from an ancient scripture. Scraggy sobs on the shoulder of Kazur, who continues to stare in astonishment at the peach tree. Suddenly, there's a rumbling sound. The trees begin to sway as a howling wind rushes through them. The tomb of Sun Wukong glows with a bright light. The glass surrounding the tomb shatters. The skeleton's head turns. Its body rattles, beginning to move. The skeleton steps out of the tomb. Everyone stares in awe, terrified. The skeleton takes a few steps forward, stops, and raises its arms high in the air. The skeleton opens its mouth, emitting a high-pitched, unearthly scream. Let's hear that scream, Shara. That works for me. And then, oh my god, a bunch of stuff happens. There's an ectoplasmic green smoke that seeps from his fingers, slowly traveling through the heads of the humans, Basically, they touch each of the gorillas. The ectoplasm encircles the gorillas' bodies. The gorillas begin to rise from the ground, high in the air. The ectoplasm appears to be carrying them towards Sun Wukong. As the gorillas travel through the air, their bodies begin to shrink, growing smaller and thinner. As the gorillas get closer to Sun Wukong, their bodies have shrunken into tiny hair-like substances. They attach themselves to his body. We see that the shrunken gorillas are actually individual hairs on the skeleton's body. As the countless hairs converge, the skeleton begins to take shape and form. Sun Wukong comes to life. He is unlike anyone or anything we have ever seen. Half human, half monkey, and actually in the script it says half honky, but that's funny. His face is covered with wrinkles. His wide eyes are coal black, probing, warm. When he smiles, it is devilish, but incredibly charming. His movements are perky, quick, and extremely adorable little fella, instantly lovable. But there is a strong, powerful pretense about him. Sun Wukong looks over the congregation. Everyone falls to their knees. Claire, Betsy, Scraggy, and a reluctant Kazur do the same. Sun Wukong paces through the clearing. He looks into the many graves. He is distressed, troubled. He raises his golden hooped rod in the sky. He screams and his old voice creaks and groans. And that voice that we will hear is... I don't know what this means, but you gave this one to me. A high-energy black guy that's the voice you gave me, so let's see what that is for Sun Wukong.
Man, we cannot bury these men. This is a garden of life, not of death.
Betsy whispers to Claire.
Was he speaking in English?
Oh, Claire, you can be one of your returning favorites. Jimmy Stewart. I like Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, Mary, he's a heavenly being. According to the legend, when a heavenly being speaks, a bell rings, and men of all countries can understand him. We hear him in English. The pygmies hear him in their language.
Betsy nods. Sun Wukong continues his heartfelt scream into the heavens.
Ah, man, would you return their souls? I demand it. Return their souls.
Sun Wukong turns to the peach tree. He begins to sing an unusual hymn. Suddenly, several peaches magically fly from the trees. They congregate above the golden hooped rod. The peach spins in midair with quick movements of the rod. Sun Wukong sends several peaches flying off screen. Camera follows the magical peaches as they separate and fly into each of the graves. When the peaches make contact with the dead bodies, there's a small, colorful explosion. A fireworks display. The bodies erupt with a bright golden glow. Oh, I'm so sorry for the effects man on all of this. A few moments pass. One of the bodies stirs, moves. The body sits up, gets to its feet. Another body does the same. So does another and another. Oh my God, soon their various pygmies climb out of their graves. Their wounds have disappeared. Their lives have been restored. Sun Wukong flings the remaining 2 peaches into the graves of Indiana and Bobala. There is a small explosion, followed by the warm glow of the bodies. The wound in Indy's chest vanishes. His eyes pop open. To the delight of his friends, Indy stands alive. He is puzzled by the surrounding grave. Claire, Scraggy, and Betsy help Indiana out of the grave. They shower him with embraces and kisses, but Indy remains confused and puzzled. And I'm assuming Ted's still there. There he is. And your voice is... Oh, my God. God damn it. You are... Oh, God. No, you know what? You are someone who's just come back to life and has just is in horrible pain every second. And Sun Wukong, keep doing what you're doing.
What the hell's going on?
Sun Wukong, looking very pleased with himself, stands behind Indiana. Claire smiles at Indy.
Oh, Mary. Oh, I think there's someone you should meet.
Claire points behind Indy, who turns to see the smiling Sun Wukong. Indy is at first shocked. His face breaks into a childlike smile. Filled with delight, he manages to utter,
You're Sun Wukong.
Sun Wukong steps forward. He nods and answers.
Are you okay? You are, you're Indiana Jones?
You know me.
Hell yeah, I know you. I watched you for many, many years, man, from the heavens up there. I was fascinated by your bravery, your passion, in searching for me.
Well, thanks. I'm very honored.
The honor is mine, Dr. Jones. You and your friends have saved my city from ruin. I would like to return the favor.
Sun Wukong gives Indiana the golden hooped rod. Indy takes the priceless artifact. He stares at the beautiful rod. He's very moved, speechless. Sun Wukong explains, raising an eyebrow.
Look at this eyebrow articulation right here. The golden hoop rod will be a faithful friend. It is capable of 100 transformations and will always remain by your side.
Indy manages a nod. Sun Wukong sighs.
I will explore the heavens for another. Surely my search will be shorter and less hazardous than yours.
Indiana smiles. Meanwhile, Kazur uses the opportunity to sneak away. He disappears into a cluster of peach trees. He climbs the smallest tree, and the greedy pirate pockets several peaches. Sun Wukong looks over the healthy, restored community of pygmies. The Monkey King smiles, and with this final line for the Monkey King, you will be... the same thing you've been doing. I got nothing. I got nothing. My brain's done.
With my city alive again, I will be able to return to the heavens. Goodbye, my dear friends.
Sun Wukong again raises his arms. Green ectoplasm again emanates from his fingers. The individual strands of hair fly from his body in a reversal of what we saw moments ago. The strands of hair become larger and larger, and they're gorillas again. Sun Wukong has returned to his skeletal form. He turns and walks back to his resting place. The pieces of broken glass reassemble, sealing the tomb. Kazur, his pockets stuffed with peaches, hurriedly rejoins the others. Tiki embraces Bobala, glad to have his father alive. Bobala, resuming his position as ruler, leads his people out of the garden. Indiana, clutching his golden hoop prize, exits with the others. Exterior gates. The following morning. Everyone has gathered outside the city walls for the journey home. They're saying goodbye to Tiki, Bobala, and the other pygmies. Claire and Tiki exchange a tearful farewell, communicating in hand signals. They share a final embrace. Bobala again thanks Indy for his help. Betsy says goodbye to the many gorillas. Betsy communicates in gorilla hand motions and growls. Indiana holding the golden hoop rod, turns and moves across the drawbridge. The others follow. The entire city of pygmies and gorillas cheer to their departing friends. Indy and the others disappear into the clouds. Walking down the mountain path, the lost city glistens in the background. The drawbridge closes until the next visitor arrives at Asgard. Exterior, mountain path. A few hours later, early afternoon, Indy and his party rest. They nap in a shady section of the path. The golden hooped rod rests behind Indy. A hand comes into frame and grabs the staff. Other hands move into the frame. They steal Indy's whip and revolver. They take all the weapons from Scraggy and the crew members. Indiana is awakened by a sword at his throat. Indy reaches for his gun and whip. Gone. He looks up. Kazur stands over him, holding the sword in one hand, the golden hoop in another. The pirates hold swords and daggers at the throats of Claire, Betsy, Scraggy, and the crew members. Kazur twirls the golden hoop rod in front of him. He smiles at Indy. And for this, Kazur and Indy, Megan, let's get some suggestions. I want one for Indiana and one for Kazur, the Pirate King.
All right, well, I just got a new one. I got Elon Musk, but I'm going to say Elon Musk buying plastic. And Barney Fife.
Barney Fife. Who wants Barney Fife? I think John wants Barney Fife. All right, Barney Fife, and then Elon Musk buying plastic.
Well, now she is a wonderful treasure, huh?
We had a deal.
I have no deal with the dead man.
Son of a bitch.
So last, he removed a peach from his pocket. He shines the peach on his cloak and gives a shrug to Indiana.
Well, now, I'm an old pirate, Dr. Jones. Do you suddenly expect me to treat you with kindness and fairness, huh? It is not my way of life.
Indy is disgusted. Kazur takes a large bite from the peach, and as he chews and swallows, Kazur nods to his men, motioning towards Indy and the others.
Well, now, kill him. Save their hair. I'll make a coat out of it.
The men move to kill Scraggy, Betsy, Claire, and the crew members. Suddenly, Kazur emits a loud scream. He grabs his stomach in pain. He falls to his knees. The half-eaten peach rolls from his hands onto the ground. Indy and Claire rush towards Kazur. Something very strange is happening to the Pirate King. His hair begins to fall out. His teeth rot. His skin shrivels. His body becomes thinner, spindly. Kazur has begun to rapidly age. He continues to scream in horrible pain. The pirates step away, frightened. The others watch in horror. Kazur's body contorts. His skin withers, flakes. It begins to peel from his bones. His screams fade. His eyes roll out of their sockets. Only his skeleton remains. He turns black and crumbles to dust. Only his elaborate clothing remains. The many stolen peachers roll out of the cloak onto the ground. The remaining pirates drop their weapons. They run off down the mountain, scared to death. Indiana holds the half-eaten peach in his hand, and Betsy says her one line as a drunken toddler for one line.
Okay, no, but I thought of the peaches promise immortality. Eternal youth?
The guardian of immortal peaches promises life only to those who are pure in heart. Kazur was evil. His heart was filled with greed.
Oh man, I want Elon Musk to be in all my movies. Indiana drops the peach to the ground. He grabs his whip, revolver, and golden hoop rod. Scraggy and his crew members retrieve their weapons. Everyone turns, continuing down the mountain path, leaving Kazur's clothes and the several peaches behind. Oh my god. Here we go. Exterior, Mozambique dock. A few days later. That was not me saying, hey Siri. Passengers board a large ocean liner bound for the United States. Indiana Jones is here, bags packed. He holds a rectangular wooden crate covered with the words fragile. The golden hooped rod is obviously stored inside. Indy is waiting for someone. He impatiently checks his wristwatch. Looking around, he grumbles to himself. And so for this scene... All right. I know you guys already did it earlier, but let's go out with a bang. You're all Arnold Schwarzenegger, including Dee Dee and Shara. Yes. Ah, you thought you'd get away. Finish it up.
Oh, boy.
Where's Betsy? The boat leaves in 5 minutes.
Suddenly a horn interrupts. Indy turns to the direction of the sound. It is Scraggy. He is wearing driving goggles. He rides a battered, bruised motorcycle attached to a rickety sidecar. The word taxi is painted on the sidecar's exterior. Scraggy pulls up beside Indiana. Scraggy jumps off the motorcycle. Excitedly, he runs towards Indy.
Oh, Indy! Indy, look, it's like the Terminator. I want to give you something for your journey.
Scraggy fumbles through his pockets. He removes a small bottle of purple liquid. He holds it up to Indy.
Take one drink before bed. It keeps out all bad spirits.
Indy declines. He flashes a flask of whiskey from inside his pocket.
Flash.
Thanks, Scraggy.
But this will keep out all the bad spirits. Scraggy shrugs. They all suddenly are interrupted.
Oh, Indy!
Indiana turns. Betsy and Claire walk towards him. Indy looks at Betsy puzzled.
Where are your bags?
I'm not leaving.
Ah, but you have to finish school.
I'm staying. I'm Claire's assistant.
Indiana shoots a jealous glance to Claire, then back to Betsy.
But you're my assistant.
No, not anymore. I'm having my credits transferred.
Why?
Because I told you, Claire is a brilliant teacher.
So am I. Kindergarten cop. You never seen it.
I'm not. But who is your daddy and what does he do? I don't offer a course in seduction. Oh.
You stay out of this.
Oh, Indy. I thought you wanted me out of your life.
That was before I realized how gifted, how talented you are.
Oh.
I mean, I could really use you.
Yeah, especially on board ship. Yeah. It gets terribly lonely.
I want you.
Indy, I've learned a lot from you, okay? But it's not the time, it's not a tumor, and it's not the time I started concentrating from a career in anthropology. Instead, romance.
Ah, wow. You certainly developed a mature attitude.
Oh, thanks to you.
She hugs him.
You don't know, I always thought of you as my knight in shining armor.
Really?
But now, I'll think of you as the father I never had.
No! Terrific.
Yeah.
Oh.
Except sexually, though. Ooh. Claire walks up to him. She extends her hand.
Oh, Dr. Jones, although your libido is questionable, your bravery and intelligence are exceptional. It has been an honor working for you.
Why, thanks.
Indy leans towards Claire as if he's going to kiss her. He raises an eyebrow, speaking in his smoothest, most suave voice.
You know, Claire, there's something...
What?
Something I've been wanting to do.
Okay.
Since we first met.
Leaning forward, Indy closes his eyes to kiss Claire, but Claire moves away. Bonzo the gorilla, hold on, enters the frame. Bonzo kisses Indy on the lips. Indy opens his eyes. He tries to move away, but the gorilla will not move. Wrapping her arms around Indy, the gorilla wrestles Indy to the ground. By using gorilla hand motions and grunts, Claire manages to persuade Bonzo to move away from Indiana. Indy wipes his mouth. Claire, Betsy, and Scraggy are laughing. Betsy explains to Claire.
Oh, sorry. I guess I left her cage open. She followed us.
The ocean liner's horn sounds. It begins to drift away from the dock. Indy turns and runs to the stairs, leading to the boat. The boat is a few feet away from the dock. Indy leaps onto the boat. He makes it just in time. He pauses, suddenly upset. He realizes he's forgotten the golden hooped rod. Oh, Indy. It sits on the dock at Scraggy's feet. As the ocean liner pulls away, Indy is about to scream to his friends, but Claire picks up the crate. She shrugs to Indy. The ocean liner pulls further from the dock. Indy is helpless. He can't go back. Claire is sound asleep in bed. Camera pans to a corner of the room. This is in Claire's room that evening. Suddenly, the box's nails begin to twist, turn, as if they're being turned by invisible hands. They fall out of the box. The box slowly opens. The golden hoop rod shimmers in the moonlight. Suddenly, the staff begins to move, twisting, shrinking. It changes shape, turning into a golden eagle. The bird slowly flaps its wings and flies out of the open window. Into the night, Claire continues to peacefully sleep. Exterior, ocean, night. Indy's ocean liner sails across the water. The image of the eagle appears in the night sky, silhouetted against the moon. Interior, ship cabin. Indiana Jones is sound asleep in the bed. The room's porthole mysteriously swings open. The golden eagle flies inside. The eagle transforms back into the golden hoop rod. The rod leans against the wall. The moonlight reflects the rod, shining into Indiana's eyes. Indy awakes. He sits up and sees the golden hoop rod. At first, he is shocked. He touches the rod, then comes upon a realization. The creaky voice of Sun Wukong fills the soundtrack, and he has his final line as Barack Obama.
Just as a final thought, the golden hoop rod will be a faithful friend to all Americans. It is capable of 100 transformations and will always remain by your side, just like me.
Aw, it's a nice little hope at the end there. Indy stands, he turns and looks at the porthole. A dreamy, satisfied smile covers Indy's face. As he stares at the stars above, soundtrack music soars. Camera pulls back to extremely long shot of the ship sailing across the ocean. The end. We did it!
We did it!
Indiana Jones and the Monkey King. We made it through.
What was that?
The script.
I have no idea
Loved every
what
part
just
of it.
happened.
That Steven Spielberg said made him feel too old to direct. He's like, I can't do this. I'm not doing this. And this was in the 80s. He wasn't old. Oh my God. Well, thank you everyone for joining for this, and thank you to all the suggestions out there. That was amazing. Thank you to Megan, of course, who wrangled all of your comments and did an amazing job of hopefully keeping you entertained. And this, of course, will replay on YouTube if you missed anything, and it will be there. But for right now, I would like to end with a trailer for Dee Dee and Shara's new web series coming out May 9th, correct? May 9th on their YouTube channel. Link to their channel is in the description. It's also Fix Your Life. So if you search for Fix Your Life, you'll find it. So here it is. And thank you all for joining for Unproduced. And remember, in a summer without movies, it's better than nothing. I'll come up with a good slogan. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
I'm disgusting. The first step to getting better is to admit that I have a problem.
It's been a while for me, and I was feeling really down on myself because I wasn't in a relationship. I mean, we've been friends for so long, but lately we've kind of not been connected.
Ding, 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 ding. And then you get like the mad face going.
Yeah.
Which people don't do anymore.
Chris Evans, Chris Pratt.
Oh my God. Submit, bitch.
No, good haul.
We have to wear these.
It's
Tim.
really
Very
dangerous
important. Do you want
inside.
lice?
It was kind of weird.
I'm gonna pin this tail on you.
Get her.
Oh.
You remember when Diana died?
Thank you.
Okay.
It was so fun.
What the?